the binds.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar.
All right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app. Your home smart speaker up on TSN 2, up on YouTube live from the RBC Canadian Open. There's the blimp.
Oh,
Happy B-Day, Hazy B. Happy B-Day.
Look at the balloons up there.
Oh, that's probably the best picture I've ever taken in my life. Right there, courtside with Noodles.
And I thought it was egregious when they did that. Wasn't that they had a picture of you and it said Leafs, and then under me it said Panthers?
Yes, at one point.
What the hell was that all about?
That's when the Leafs were up 2-0, and I was the Leafs at 2-0, and then the Panthers were like, "Watch yourself because we're coming."
Okay.
Now, JP just played that money song because there was supposed to be a 50 right
Oh, that's
here,
right
there. The Indiana Pacers came back and won that ball game last night.
A nice $50
I don't
bill.
want your money. I carry it over. We'll roll it over. I'm on Richard T. Lee this week to possibly win the RBC Canadian Open.
You know what was making me sick? At one point, they were up by like 15.
Yes.
And I'm like,
money.
Give me the money. And then just like, come on, dude. You blow that game? That was insane.
So the Pacers had the lead for 0.3 seconds.
Just the last part.
0.3 seconds. Oklahoma City was leading the whole rest of the game outside of when they were tied to start the game, and they were trading baskets early. Oklahoma City had a lead for like 46 minutes and 53 seconds, and Indiana had it for 0.3.
Dude, maybe Indy's a Cinderella team, man.
You
never know.
Here's the reaction to them. I was on with Cause earlier. I'm sure this is the way the rest of the world was looking at the Raptors in 2019. That who are these guys? Why are we paying attention to them? Okay, they're pretty good. Sure, they beat some good teams, but once they run into Golden State, the Cinderella story's up.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing applied here with the Pacers, where it's like once you run into Oklahoma City, you're going into their building. And honestly, at the end of the game, Shea had a chance to turn the lights out. He missed like a 15, 16, 17-foot jump shot.
Yeah.
And Tyrese Halliburton didn't. And Halliburton is a killer right now, and the Pacers, all they do is storm back and miraculously win games. It's incredible.
All I could think of last night was, where's his old man?
Not allowed in the building. That's the best part. His son's hitting a legacy shot in Game 1 of the NBA Finals, and his dad's in a bar somewhere in Indianapolis because he's not even allowed down there.
Isn't that crazy?
It was crazy. It was an unbelievable night, and we'll discuss that throughout the afternoon. We've obviously got Game 2 of the Cup Final. We'll get to that throughout the afternoon. We're at the RBC Canadian Open. It is noticeably louder
and
livelier here today.
The bar has been.
There was a couple 64 chance. I think everyone's got to just tone it down.
You were turned around and you were waving to the crowd.
Literally going like this and putting up a 6 and a 4 and asking for people to chant.
They started chanting. I think it's a good time to put it to bed and we move on to next year.
Okay.
I thought you looked like Gary Bettman. You know how Gary will wave on the crowd when the boos come on and stuff? That's what you did. You turned around and you were waving at the crowd. I didn't see a 6-4, but I can.
Well, I had to chew on it. So we're at the rink hole here, 14. It's an unbelievable hole because everyone's throwing darts at this. Still no hole-in-ones. But there's me, a man of the people. I was in there.
High-fiving, just a man of the people. They're singing happy birthday to you.
I was supposed to be there. Bobby Weeks sniveled in there and took my spot. But the reason is I was stuck on Highway 10. It was so egregious.
I know.
The traffic was outrageous.
The traffic, like out here, they're not used to traffic, right? So people are trying to figure out traffic. And you and I were supposed to be in those seats to see a couple of groups come through. And then I told Bob, I'm like, he's out. You want in? And Bobby jumped in there. You talk about a man of the people.
That's a man of the people.
Bob Weeks, not one cat call, not one boo. I'm chewing on it. People are yelling at me, 64, you're a fraud. I'm like, what did I do to anybody here? I'm just trying to have a good time.
Yeah.
And we are on the verge of seeing Bedlam come through here because Nick Taylor's absolutely on fire.
He is.
Like, Taylor is on fire right now. Pendra's not far behind him. Mackenzie Hughes, that threesome's going to be rolling through here in like the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then right after that is McIlroy. And Rory McIlroy, I think, might tee off, try to hit a home run, and then fly to Oakmont because he's finished. He took a quad 8 on the 5th hole today.
And, dude, what happened on that hole? Like, he airmailed it. He was in the rough, and he sent one into space.
He lost the ball. They couldn't find it. Like they're like that's my understanding was it was basically this thing's gone. Because I had, when I was tracking them, I was here, but I wasn't at that part of the course.
Yeah.
Originally, it came up on the app, double bogey. And all of a sudden, it's a quad. And I'm like, what happened over there?
Wow.
And then he's continuing to chop it around. And it's unsettling because McIlroy, you know, he's a big part of everything that is the Canadian Open, right? There's not one player is bigger than the rest, but there's something amazing about Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
And listen, he came out here, didn't play great yesterday. Today, he played even worse. And he's going home.
Now he's gone.
He'll be in Pennsylvania within the next 5 hours.
Yeah,
Private
absolutely.
bird.
My buddy
right
texts me and
There's a
said
helicopter
Rory is
waiting for him right
decanting
now.
wine as we speak.
He
on the bird.
May have taken his phone out after that quad on 5 and said, fire up the jet, decant the best red you have, and tell Pittsburgh, PA, I'm en route.
Yeah.
Because Oakmont is calling my name. So it's not been great for McIlroy, but there has been a lot of really, really cool Canadian stories really throughout the week. We just had Mike Weir come through here, and there's no one bigger than that. Like Mike Weir's playing in his 32nd RBC Canadian Open. I mentioned Richard T. Lee, who's been on fire. Nick Taylor's been on fire. Taylor Pendrith has been on fire. But you talk about a guy making his entrance into professional golf who was on fire yesterday, on fire today. He's in the clubhouse at 2 under. This guy runs Coppenwood, by the way. He's 2 under in the clubhouse.
Just be
through
careful,
36.
too. He'll be asking.
How many letters
Matt
has he
Scobie.
comprised towards your email?
Okay, Matt Scobie's here. Matt, great seeing you.
Do I have a new enemy on the set? Is that how we're starting things?
No, we're not doing any of that, buddy.
No, no.
Just be honest. Like I was at the club this morning because I popped in there, and everyone is buzzing. They're like, "What's Scobie doing? What's he doing? How's he doing?" Like the amount of support, which I'm sure you can pick up on. You're 2 under through 2 rounds. You're right there on the cut line. It feels like you're going to get in. But how do you feel like on this kind of stage? It must be incredible.
It is incredible. Yeah, absolutely. This is pretty crazy being here. One of my favorite TV shows. So super
there we
excited
go.
to be here with the fellas. Appreciate it. But yeah, just being out there and feeling the nerves and the pressure and, you know, trying to put the golf ball where you want it.
How big are the nerves compared to, like, just a money game where, like, how different are the nerves? Like, and where do you kind of feel it? Is it, like, around the green, like, off the tee? Just how different is it?
On first tee shot of the day, legitimately, my legs were stuck in mud. Like, stuck in mud, start the day. I couldn't move. I couldn't get through the golf ball. I was telling myself
Did you fan
to, like,
it right?
Yep, definitely fanned it right. So, a little nervous start, but it's just a different environment. Like I couldn't think on 14T. You know, I was standing there and trying to come up with a yardage and what shot we wanted to hit, and couldn't come up with really anything. Hit it on the green, made a nice 3, moved on. But no, it's a different experience for sure.
So is that because of the crowd? Is it because you're playing with professionals? Is it because you're looking at the leaderboard and you're like, my name is up there and it's above Rory McIlroy's by a significant number? Like, what can you channel one thing in particular where you're like, this is what makes me feel like it's an out-of-body experience the most?
Just being out there. First PGA Tour event. It's a place where I've wanted to get to for a long time. I feel like it's been 6, 7, 8 years coming since I turned pro. And yeah, just you're in that environment, you're standing out there, and you know, you have to execute the shots and play to a high level, but your brain starts going 100 miles an hour, and it's a different environment for sure.
What kind of support did you have out here? Family, friends, all of that?
Yeah.
And did you have to weed some of them out and say, all right, hey, like I'm trying to play here because you got an uncle or an aunt or something in the stands yelling and screaming and
Definitely.
All of that type of stuff?
Definitely, yeah. There were a few. There was a couple people cheering on some poor shots from other players in the group early on. We had to rein that in to start. It was a little aggressive. But no, I had a really good crew. You know, I used to work at Deer Creek as well, working at Coppenwood now. A lot of people from both those places came out. My mom's here as well. My dad was out earlier. So ton of support, a lot of people cheering you on. I got a bunch of Scooby-Doo calls and a bunch of other nonsense in the rink there earlier. So just really cool to be a part of. I mean, it's where I've wanted to get to, like I say, for a long time. And first experience, we're just watching the cut line quite a bit now.
How does that process go? I mean, do you just literally stay on the putting green on the range and wait, or what?
Yeah, I hit some balls earlier, grab some food earlier as well, and then just wait to see the 70 and ties, see if it's 2 or 3 under. I was a little squirrely coming in, made a couple mistakes down the stretch, but we'll see. I mean, I made a bunch of birdies, was up there in the top 20 for a good chunk of the day, and we'll just see where the cut falls later.
Matt Scobie with us, who again is 2 under in the clubhouse through 2 rounds. And you mentioned, on 18 in particular, you put one in the water. Was that your second shot? Like, I wasn't here yet. So take us through that approach, because it's a par 5, and you're sitting there. I'm sure you're aware of kind of where the cut line's going to be at that point. You're sitting at 3 under on the tee. What made you say, I'm going for this in 2, as opposed to playing it possibly a little bit safer? Did that run through your mind, or did you have a plan before you even got here that said, if I'm in this spot on this hole, this is the club I'm hitting, and I'm going to be aggressive?
So I cold topped one in round 1 on 18, laid up on purpose, accidental layup.
Cold topped it that stayed on the short.
Stayed in play,
okay.
chipped it up there, made par, whatever. So I said to myself, bunch of 4 irons last night, bunch of 4 irons this morning, and they were feeling good. It was a 4 iron. It was a good number. I really liked it. I thought I could get it over the water. It was about 4 grooves too thin, so not quite the contact we needed. Came in pretty low, and obviously ended up in the water, and hopefully that's not the difference. But yeah, I just felt like I could pull the shot off and didn't have any of those negative thoughts, kind of standing over it, and tried to execute it, and execution's obviously the difficulty sometimes. So,
has there been any, like you mentioned, just being in it? It's a PGA event, it's a massive event. But has there been anyone you've seen out there, any player in particular, where you've kind of crossed paths, or they're over on 9, you're on 8, or something like that, and you're like, this guy is playing in the same tournament as me right now?
Yeah, there are a few. I mean, I ran into Max home on the putting green, and sent actually an email to Rory's agent looking for a practice round. He's a little busy on Tuesday out at the West End, actually. Yeah. But figured I'd, shoot him a note. Why not? But yeah, no, it's just been a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest. So just looking to make the most of it.
So
for sure.
Last night, you shoot 2 under yesterday. You have a great round, and you play well in the afternoon. And you're going to bed last night and you realize, okay, I'm in the hunt. Like, take us through your thought process last night and coming into round 2, maybe compared to how you were feeling before you put the tee in the ground game for round 1.
Round 2 was miles better. Round 1 was, bogey the first, but really solid golf, bogey free afterwards, and it kind of settled in that, I'm maybe not as polished as a lot of the other guys out here and don't have the reps and the practice and whatnot, but good scores can beat good players pretty much every day. Mr. 64 knows that himself. But
I hate that you brought that up.
Oh, we had to bring it up. We had to bring it up.
We put it to bed at the top of the show. The fans were chanting, and I just said that's enough.
Mr.
I don't want to rile him back up.
He was begging
Mr.
the fans.
64.
Yeah, begging the fans. Doing
I shot 39 on the front at Coppenwood this morning. I want everyone to realize that from the gold tees.
People do need to realize, I will say, I don't know if there's a stigma out there or something going on in the world, but Hazy B's golf game is very high level. I think a lot of people comment on it a little bit negatively, and it's confusing.
I never comment on it, but I want to ask you something. You're on the property.
This guy in particular.
You're on the property a lot,
yes.
right?
Yep.
How many times do you see this guy on the driving range? Be honest.
He drives up and goes to his hole.
Yeah. He drives from his car to the first tee, grabs a coffee, shakes the guy's hand, he starts telling lies and making up his gambling game, and then he plays golf. It's the best practice facility in Ontario, and he doesn't even go near it.
Still shoots good scores.
See, I was going to
all that matters, man.
All that matters.
You know all my guys. None of us are ever up on the range.
No,
we come in on 2 wheels, so we tee
no
off.
chance. Fake his trunk slamming every day. 100%.
I was going to go the other way and say, have you ever talked to him about shooting left? Because that's...
I putt left. I shoot right, putt left.
I recall that.
It's never going to happen.
The only reason he's a right-handed golfer is because when he was a kid, his dad, Bill, said, there's no left-handed clubs in the garage. So you got to play right.
Sounds like my dad. Yep. That's the way it goes.
I think if you honestly, he got him a set of left-handed clubs and he practiced and put a winter. All you got to do is put a winter in. You're a better left-handed golfer than you are a righty.
Did you not hear me? I shot 39 on the front this morning.
Watch him hit a driver left-handed, and you'll see.
It's more athletic, but it doesn't mean
more
anything.
power.
I'm not wasting
got a bigger
time.
Shot left in hockey.
Yes. We're not getting into this conversation. We're
just bringing up old stuff on the show. Yeah, we're rehashing stuff here.
So let's get into some of the details. At Coppenwood, has there ever been a negative letter? You know when someone gets a letter? has he ever gotten a letter for any behavioral problems at Coppenwood?
Never. Absolutely
Well, what would
not.
he
I mean,
do?
I'm only a month in, but we're in and
Matty
out.
just got started. Matt just got started.
Probably too loud if he was like yelling and screaming about something.
We'll put music on from time to time, and like we'll get out there and have fun. But I think we play at an appropriate pace. We're all very cordial. You know, everyone's a good guy. You know the guys that I'm out there with. Everyone's a good guy. So I don't anticipate any issues in the future. I certainly hope not.
Not at all.
What is your low score at Coppenwood? Like, and do you must play from the tips every single round?
Yeah, prepping for this, I think it was 70 from the Platinums back there.
Okay.
So it's pretty solid. Felt good. I mean, as you know, like it plays, I'd say it plays longer than this place. It's firmer, it's faster. Greens are only 11.5 here just because they're so slopey, but Coppenwoods are 12, 13.
They're so dialed in right now.
100%.
Yeah.
So really good prep. But yeah, 70, not in the 60s yet from the back.
Okay, this guy I've seen shoot from playing the golds. You shot, I think, 68 or 69 a couple of years ago.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. How many sets of tees were out on Wednesday?
That's the one thing that no one's talked about.
Because if there's red and white,
I will explain. The championship tees, there was a slight like black kind of tarp over it, just the back of the tees.
Okay.
We went just ahead of the championship tees, and that's where we teed
by
it.
28 yards.
So what do you think? 6,600? Like, what kind of yardage do you think you played? Be serious.
Look, you're a professional golfer, and you could back me on this. I don't care if you play from the forward tees. You still got to get the golf ball.
You still got to golf your ball
So
around.
64 is 64.
I'm not disputing that, but 64 from the whites is different than 64
Dude,
from
it doesn't matter. You
tips.
can put sand wedges in your hands all day, and people will not shoot 64.
I'm not disputing that. All right, so what's your plan here, Matt? Like we asked you out of the gate, like you're 2 under. Are you going to wait it out until everyone's in the house, or are you going to head home? Like what's your plan?
Probably
here?
head home. Live about an hour away, so hit the road here shortly.
Yeah.
Probably check out some of the craziness.
Yeah.
And just to see where things fall. I mean, it's like I said, it's my first PGA Tour event, first Canadian Open.
It's awesome, man. It's great stuff.
Pretty cool experience. Hoping for many more. Hoping to, play a lot more. As much as I enjoy helping you out at Coppenwood, being a pro golfer is a bit better of a gig. Yeah. So just a lot more of that. But yeah, tonight we'll just head home. I already got some practice in, grab a bite, and see where we end up.
Well, you were telling me a couple weeks ago that you qualified. You hit like a 15-foot putt, kind of a squirrely putt to even get into this tournament. Like that must have been the prep, right? Like you talk about nerves. You must have been nervous hanging over that putt, and you made your way in, and now the rest is history.
That's it, yeah. Handshaking in the qualifier, handshaking on the first tee, but first tee today was fine, and like you say, I mean, bunch of support. My mom, my dad, a lot of friends came out, and that steady things, and it's just a little bit of belief too. Like you make some pars, string some birdies together. And you start to feel like you actually belong out here a little bit.
As you should, man. As you should. 2 unders, an unbank score through 36 holes. We're pulling for you.
Yep.
And it's straddling, man. I don't think we're going to find out for a few hours, but we're banking on that 2 under, man. We can't wait for it. Great seeing you, Matt. Thanks for making your way.
Good luck to you.
Yes,
Thank you. Good being here.
Matt Scobie. Thanks, guys. All right, OverDrive continues. We're live at the Rink Hole RBC Canadian Open up on TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
NBA Finals, presented by DoorDash on TSN.
Participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada. Prices.
All right, OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. James Duthie around the table at 5 o'clock. We'll catch up with JD ahead of Game 2 of the Cup Final tonight. Some big news in the NHL. Peter Deboer fired by the Dallas Stars today.
I am absolutely shocked by that. I got to be honest. And
I thought we mentioned yesterday that the ownership gave him a vote of confidence or something. Did we not read that on a tweet? Or
There was, I believe, a quote floating around about how much he's won, how well he's done. I mean, clearly something came out of the aftermath, I think, of the Ottinger stuff. Yeah. There's been some reports that maybe the exit meetings and some of the players didn't love some of the stuff. I don't know how much of that is true or not. But
it's a bad look.
The GM, the owner, someone fell on the sword and said, Pete's got to go.
Look, I think if you've been around a game a lot, you realize that once that goaltender, who is their franchise goaltender, and he makes $8 million a year, and he yanked him out of the net and said, "You're not going back in there." I thought that was the end of it for Pete because they didn't win the game. It got ugly after that.
Yeah.
But do me a favor, Jim Nill or ownership or whoever. The same thing happened with Dwayne Casey in Toronto. Don't let the guy go out there and do media, and then you fire him after. You knew you were going to fire him, so fire him. That's garbage.
And there's no vacancies left either.
But
all the coaching jobs have been filled.
Here's the thing, though.
So what's he going to do? As far as I know, I don't believe there's any openings left.
But it doesn't. This smells of exactly like you said. They're fine with it, upper management, but then they have exit meetings and somebody's feelings were hurt outside of Ottinger. Another guy didn't like how Pete yelled at him and did this and that. Like, to me, it's a bad look because does it show that the inmates are running the asylum? Like and I get it. Listen, the athletes are the ones, and we've been.
They got the guaranteed contracts.
They do, but at the end of the day, who is better than Pete Deboer to go in there and coach your team next year and get to the next level? How about you look at your players? Wyatt Johnson was minus 18 in the playoffs.
Robertson just started playing near the end of the series. And the goaltender I didn't think was very good.
Goaltender wasn't very good in that series.
What the hell did Pete Deboer have to do about that?
Jamie Benn, Tyler Say, go down the list of guys. And, Hintz got hurt. But, I mean, Heiskanen wasn't a dominant force.
But it's like every organization, when this happens, they say to themselves, we have to get a piece of flesh here for something. But for who? Do you think the Dallas Stars fan base will be frothing at the mouth all summer saying, I can't believe no one got canned for that? I don't think they would have.
You know what always gets said to me when it comes to PR and stuff? They need a body on the tarmac. That's the body right there. Toronto Maple Leafs, Brendan Shanahan, there's your body. Right?
Yeah, but you're right.
Who's going to replace him? Because I will torch their next hiring if it's some whatever.
Well, Lavi's out there. Guys like that, but you know what? It's different. What they might be looking is a different voice. And you know what? Jim Nill framed it the right way. He said they need a different voice. And I get that. Every coach has an expiration date. So obviously they felt that Pete hit the expiration date. But he's a hell of a coach. And if you look at the most winning in the last 3 years, as far as games played, winning and all that, it's the Dallas Stars.
Well, listen, DeBoer's a really, really good coach. He's coached some really good teams.
Yeah.
Right? San Jose was good when he was there. Vegas was good. This Dallas team is really good. He'll get another job because he's well-liked. I think he's great with the media.
I know where you're going with this.
And he wins. Where do you think I'm going with this?
Regular season wins.
Well, I mean, that's the question about where it goes next. Right? In terms of how he handles it, how Dallas handles it. You mentioned, the market. I don't know Dallas well enough, but the Cowboys are in minicamp soon. Things are going to change pretty quickly down there. So I don't know if this really is about the market and people freaking out as much as it was. They probably didn't love the way he handled the Ottinger stuff. And the way he spoke after the game I don't think was great.
No, I didn't love that.
He singled him out. He goes, well, he's lost on them as if the Stars hadn't.
Right.
You pinpoint Ottinger and it's he as opposed to us.
Right.
You knew it was going to happen, but don't let him. Pete Deboer has been fired before. He can handle getting fired. Do not let him go out there and speak to the media and address the team and then fire him.
That I agree with. If you're going to come up with your decision, which you're entitled to, Pete's a big boy, and Deboer will get another job, and he's a lifer in the league. He's been in the league for a long, long time, and he's a great coach. But I agree with that. The idea of slow playing it, waiting until all these other jobs are taken as well. So now Deboer's out there, Laviolette's out there.
Yeah.
And now you get into the regular season, and does someone have a slow start? And I could see Pete jumping in somewhere in November or December.
He's got a year left on his deal. The other thing, too, is I don't think this was a knee-jerk reaction. Like, this is now, when you look at it, it's they've seen something or didn't like something. I don't know. I don't think this is one thing that did him.
Jamie, I guarantee you what happened was some of the young guys that didn't play well got pissy after with their exit meetings and probably said it's either him or me. If he's still here, I don't want to play here. And when you got a goaltender locked into a contract like that, I don't know what went on behind the scenes, but that's when they probably had to make a decision. Everybody said it after the altercation happened. The goaltender's going to outlast Pete Deboer in Dallas.
Well,
and that's exactly what happened.
Well, and
so I don't know if the goaltender said, if he's here come training camp, I'm not going to be playing here. So what do you want to do? And that forces the organization to make a decision. It would not shock me if that's went down.
It wouldn't be surprising at all if that were to happen. Now, again, they had a bad stretch in the final 10 games of the regular season.
They did, yeah.
They were down 2-0 with 10 minutes to go in Game 7. Like, there is a chance ownership management had it drafted at that point. It's like, oh, they survived.
Right.
You know, and then they survived, and then it just got to a point where Edmonton dismantled them in the conference final.
Right.
Yet, like you said, there were a lot of players who didn't play well enough. Like, Hintz got hurt and missed a game. Robertson kind of got going.
No, it wasn't Hintz. It was Heiskanen. He came back.
Barely played.
No, he didn't. I don't think he played very well when he came back.
No, and he was injured clearly. And Andre did, like, I think it's more on the players than Pete Deboer.
It's 100% on the players. Deboer's not out there giving up breakaways. He's not out there having missed assignments. It was the team. But what I think what they're saying, and I agree with you, Brian, there's probably pockets of this season that they didn't like, and they saw something and go, this team is up to this level. We're not going to get past this level. We need something. Something has to change. Instead of changing 20 players, it's the coach.
Yep.
That's really what it is. And it sucks. We love Pete Deboer. He is going to get another job. I would be shocked if he wasn't employed by Christmas. Because you're right. If everything's filled right now.
I think he'll be. Everything's filled
well,
right
everything's filled up now.
I mean, look at Pittsburgh hired, was it Muse yesterday?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Marco Sturm in Boston.
Like, at the end of the day.
I bet you there's a bunch of teams that wish they had held on.
Well,
yeah,
I think it's better for Deboer to probably wait it out.
Exactly.
Wait for a good team that had a bad start and be like, I can turn these guys around.
Go in.
He should just pull a Paul Maurice and just sit around and wait. He probably got enough cake to
he's getting paid for another year.
Yeah, sit around and wait and see what goes on.
Maybe
and he could pick and choose what opportunity happens.
100%.
It's a good setup.
I think it's an opportunity for him to have a reset and go somewhere again to another scenario. But and Spotter will be there too. I don't know what Spotter's situation, but they're attached at the hip.
Yeah, they've been together. They were together in junior
they're
and
great
all throughout
coaches.
the NHL.
You guys know I'm a Deboer guy. We're all Deboer guys.
Yeah, we love Pete.
It sucks. I just don't know what happened from the end of the year. If this is their evaluation, it's like, okay, now we got to whack them because of the information we've gathered from the players or whatever.
I'll say this too. The flip side of this, great job to get. If you're out there and you're a coach and you're still looking for a job, Dallas is loaded, man. Like they have everything set in terms of like how they're built. Now, I don't know if they've got what it takes to get over the top, and that comes with some pressure because if whoever the next coach is going to be, Jim Nill and company are going to say, you got to win a Stanley Cup with this team.
Well, the next coach has got to say to Wyatt Johnston and Robertson and Ottinger and Heiskanen, there's only so much. Like you guys are only doing so much when you get to a certain point. Can you elevate and be better?
We're forgetting.
You've got Connor McDavid coming after you. So what are you going to do about it?
We're forgetting one name that was Conn Smythe-worthy and then disappeared against Edmonton.
That's right.
Did you notice Rantanen at all?
He threw up some ninja dust against the Oilers.
He didn't score the final 8 or 9 playoff games.
So,
but he's a guy that's there, and that's my
point. $12 million.
Coaches always say, like, it was the same thing when Berube got here. He didn't look at the Leafs and say, well, these guys can't win. He's like, I'll take these guys because I know I can get to the playoffs.
Yep.
And I'll try to change it. Well, he couldn't.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to sit here and predict that will happen with the Stars. What I'm saying is if you get this job, you're going to the playoffs, year one. It's not a scenario where you're going to a bad team and it's going to take you 2 or 3 years.
You got to battle to get to the playoffs, and you win Coach of the Year because you took them from, a team that was last place and they snuck in you know, kind of like the Calgary Flames were close to making the playoffs, and Huska did a great job.
Exactly.
This is a team loaded with talent and in their prime. Jake Ottinger's 26. Hintz, 28.
And
like
Harley.
Heiskin and Harley. Like they're all.
Like Ben's coming off, and Sagan's around the corner.
Duchesne's off the books.
Duchesne's off. They can continue to mold it if they want to. So Game 2 of the Cup Final tonight in Edmonton. I was saying before Game 1 felt like a must-win for Edmonton, and I would say it's a must-win for Florida tonight.
You think so? Right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we talked about it yesterday with Strutty, and I think he makes a very valid point. The idea of beating Edmonton 4 times in 5 games just does not seem possible the way they're playing, and especially the way they're playing at home.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like this is put up or shut up time for the Panthers. Now, the way that they're built and the way that they're wired, I would fully expect they come out flying tonight.
Yeah.
But it sets the scene for me where I'm more intrigued on how Edmonton reacts.
Yeah.
Because it feels like a McDavid-Draisaitl legacy moment again. Like every night is, but these two guys can come out here and put on an absolute clinic tonight. First shift, again, Draisaitl scores. That place is going to go bananas on a Friday night in Edmonton.
Don't you feel like Edmonton should be feeling confident that they got that W in Game 1, and I don't even think they really had their best stuff.
Not the first 40 minutes.
No, they didn't.
Like
they did later in the hockey game, but if they can get it to, I mean, I think both teams were accurate after the game when they said, neither of us are going to dominate for 60 minutes. Yeah. But I think if Edmonton puts the pedal down, they could dominate for a lot more of the hockey game than what they did in Game 1, which could be a dangerous thing for the Florida Panthers.
Well, you play with the lead and make Florida do the comeback thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's pockets of the game that I think both sides liked last game. But Edmonton, you know, the second half of the game, especially in OT, Florida looked like they had no gas left. So, again, just when we think we're going to count Florida out, like, don't count them out.
I'm not counting them out. I'm not predicting they won't win tonight.
No, I think it'll be a hell of a game tonight. But I think Edmonton has to understand the magnitude of this game as well. You don't just sit back and go, hey, we're happy with we won game 1.
We got to split.
You can't split in your own building. You got to use that home ice. You got to use that last change matchup too. That's the other thing. If you look at the analytics about it the other night, it's interesting. Knobloch went he didn't try and hide McDavid and Draisaitl away from Barkov. Like he went right at him.
McDavid started the game against
him. And they went at him, and McDavid and Draisaitl, when they put them together, they won that matchup.
You talk about experience. Edmonton should understand what happened last year, going down 3-0, and then coming they have to realize if we can put these guys in a hole, you bury them in there as far as they can because they might crawl out. And the further down they are, the more difficult it's going to be. You want to shove them down further in there, down to cut, you've got to do it tonight and take advantage.
Well, and that's the thing, right? And the mentality, yes, they're champions. They're champions, but they've played a lot of hockey, and they've won before, so they have their rings, right? And that's the psychology of a championship series, I always find so fascinating because last year Florida neither team had it. Sure, there were some individuals that had them, but collectively they didn't. This time, to your point, if you get them down 2-0 or 3-0, Florida, they may look at it subconsciously, not publicly, but subconsciously think, we got ours, we tried, we made it here.
Yeah.
Edmonton's just buried us here. And I think that should be a part of the psyche for the Oilers tonight.
Wow.
I mean, it would be incredibly significant if they found a way to get a win.
Let's see if Evan Bouchard is a difference maker tonight.
I hope so. I mean, he's the second or third best defenseman in the league. He better have himself a night tonight.
I just want to say, I want to thank the supporters that I had direct messages with and conversations about supporting Evan Bouchard.
Oh, you were getting direct messages from who?
A lot.
Gary from St. Albert?
Some of them are in the media.
Noodles' uncle?
No, some are in the media that we have hockey conversations all the time. And the first comment out of their mouth all the time was, thank you for saying that because no one has the jam to say it. You're welcome, Oilers fans. And Bouchard.
Take a look at those. If you Doogie posts them online. Take a look at the comments from the Vancouver fans.
Oh, that's the beauty of it. You got Edmonton on one side who are so ecstatic,
so
and
happy.
on the other side, Vancouver. And then you get like one Columbus guy who's like, "What about Zach Werenski?" I'm like,
oh my God, there were so many. Yeah, there was an
like,
Adam
we don't need
Fox
to hear from you. Well, Adam Fox is nowhere close.
He's
the way he played this year,
off the radar.
Not even. Adam Fox is not in the chat right now.
But again, like
2 years ago, he was
body of work. But he, you know, I will say this in fairness to O. He said, right now, the way this
It's
guy's
right
playing.
now.
Like,
Right now,
Right now,
just, you know.
in the tiki hut, Makar goes in first and Bouchard second.
Oh,
I'm not
there.
hut.
I'm not there yet. But
You know where I
am.
stand on all this.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to you guys Monday because you're going to see tonight what Evan Bouchard can do.
I
I'm
hope
telling
you're
you.
right. I hope you're right for Edmonton's sake, because he is a guy that will be completely aloof to any of the psychology we just talked about.
Yeah,
he may show up late and just throw his gear on and be like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Like, he's got that Drew Doughty type of vibe. Like, let's just go out and play.
Drew Doughty.
Drew Doughty late for the gold medal game.
Prongs.
Gold medal game in Vancouver, and he's like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Slept
I better
in.
find a way to make it to the rink and play 25 minutes.
I don't think
as a
it was
20-year-old.
Prongs. It was Doughty.
No.
No.
Pronger told us that, like, this guy walked in late.
Pronger told the story that it was Doughty
about,
that was late.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't Prongs. Prongs had an A on his jersey and was 40 with kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
He was holding a PK meeting.
yeah, Pronger was there hours before the game. I don't think there was any disputing that. On the Leafs front, Derek Lalonde is an assistant coach here. He was hired.
Newsy is his
Newsy
nickname.
Lalonde.
Yeah.
And he comes out against Lane Lambert, is on his way to Seattle, and there was an opening for Craig Berube and his staff. So I guess he won't be doing hockey night anymore.
I know, but he, like, honestly, I said this to you off air. It's a good hire. He's a smart hockey guy. I don't know if he was perceived more as a one or as a great associate, because he's a tactical guy. You hear how he talks on hockey night. You hear him how he talks like he's very strong tactically. So if you have Berube, who's the hammer, the motivator, all of that, you need a tactical guy. My understanding is Lane Lambert was really strong tactically, so you needed to replace that role. You've got Savvy. You got Mike Van Ryn running the D, so you've got a really good coaching staff there. I think Derek Lalonde's a great hire, like a fantastic hire. And
I agree.
And he's a good guy. Like, I don't know. He doesn't take himself too seriously. Do you ever remember that article where it was like sexiest coaches in the NHL and he was third?
Yeah, I do remember that.
And all the coaches were like teasing him and stuff. He's like, finally, I get my just due.
Yes.
Like I like him.
I've enjoyed him, like doing panel work and stuff like that. I obviously don't know him personally, but he's got great experience working with good coaches. Like down in Tampa, he was on Cooper's staff, and then obviously he was in Detroit. He knows the division very well.
Yeah.
Like I think that is a real advantage as well. You're not bringing in a guy who's
coached in San Jose,
exactly,
and
or American Hockey League guy who's trying to catch up to the league. Like he knows everyone, he knows everything about every system, especially in the Atlantic Division. I think that's really significant.
It is. It's a good hire, and you know what? We talk about coaches and stuff like that. You ended up grabbing a good guy available because whether he's associate or assistant, I didn't read the fine print, but he's your staff was lesser with Lane Lambert leaving.
Right.
Now you fill that role with somebody who's
and relatively
equal or
quickly,
better,
and you found a guy that can step right in there. It's
Yeah.
big. It definitely is big for the Leafs. All right, day 2 of the RBC Canadian Open. A bunch of Canadian flags sitting at the top. Now, Cameron Champ went low again today. He was 4 under on his day. He's in the clubhouse at 12 under. Richard T. Lee, 9 under, Canadian. So you got Nick Taylor, who's still out there. He's at 9 under. Shane Lowry's going low. Pendrith is at 7 under. You got Corey Connors in the mix. You've got Mackenzie Hughes in the mix. Like those are the big 4, right, of Canadian golf. Those are the big 4 right now. And, of course, Mike Weir. It is just – are these Hayes a fraud or shot 64?
They're a combination. They're a combination.
Well, there's one that says 64 is still a fraud, but I love you, O-Dog.
Yeah.
And the other one is, I can't read it. It's Hayes is still a fraud, but we love you.
Okay, we're getting a lot of love out here.
Lots
getting
of
a lot of love.
O-Dog.
Your love in particular, getting a lot of love. All right, we're live at the rink hall, TPC Toronto Osprey Valley for the RBC Canadian Open. James Duthie, this is highly anticipated.
Oh, my God.
In studio in about 20 minutes. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Thanks to the fan that sent this message in, and it said, tell Brian that Adam Hadwin is playing well, too.
Oh,
my
there
mistake.
we go. Yes.
My mistake. How could I possibly forget about him?
We love Adam.
You know who I played in the Pro-Am with last year?
Tommy Fleetwood.
Adam Hadwin.
No, it was
Adam Hadwin.
Fleetwood the year before.
So it's another example of when someone comes into presence with me rolling the rock, they generally play well. It might take them a year.
Let me ask you something. What I don't understand about you is when you play in the Pro-Ams with these guys, do you not develop personal relationships where you exchange numbers and then...
No, I don't bother people. Is that what you're asking?
You know that guy. He's antisocial.
I talk, I say hello, and then it's, hey, great to see you. Have a great tournament.
Dude, I know exactly how
I know
you
what
are.
you
You
mean.
say, hey, can I snap a... As soon as the
I'll
pick
take
is
a
snapped,
picture with
I know,
somebody.
and then
He
you
walks
act
away.
like you don't even want to talk to anyone the
That's
rest of
not
the day.
true. I'm happy to do it. These guys are all, they're busy. You got to understand, because you don't understand these things.
He doesn't.
Canadians come to this tournament, and they are pulled in every possible direction.
Yes.
That is the truth. They've got family, they've got events, they've got dinners, they've got all these different things. So I'm not in a position where I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to bother you to come on. Now, Mac Hughes comes on all the time. Nick Taylor comes on all the time. We just had our boy Matt Scobie come on. That was amazing.
Thank you.
We're going to get a lot of different people.
Scobie, you know what? Thank
I'm
you
rooting
very
for that
much.
guy.
I am
Make
rooting
the
for that
car
guy.
and
I'll
let's
cheer
fire
for him.
things up
He
here.
took the 5 minutes to come on with us.
He did.
I'll support that guy any day of the
Here's
week.
the thing. You do it because you know those people don't want to be bothered. He'll ask, can you get me a tea time at, like, with these pros?
Yeah.
Who was the guy last year where he's like, hey, I need a...
Well, we had Johnson Wagner at the President's Cup, and this guy was asking for a Scotty Cameron specialized, like, prototype sign. And Wagner was like, is this guy serious right now? Like, your conversation with him was wild.
There was about 10 conversations.
There were some
last year.
wild things
hey,
going on.
I need a tea time at this one.
That was the tea time conversation about going to Sawgrass, I think.
Yes, the tea time conversation was outrageous.
I don't have what it takes to do that. I don't have what it takes. But I'll get his Pendy on it, my boy. I'll get him on, and we'll get Hadwin on. Because you're right. Hadwin, I got to mention him. He's been lights out.
I was concerned that he was going to go, I need to come at Coppenwood. I need this and that.
Well, we're going to get out. We're going to get out with him. We come out every single year.
Flip me his number. I'll play golf with that guy anytime.
Okay, I will. I'm going to try to get Aaron Rodgers on the show at some point.
Oh, my
Doogie
God.
sent a request to the Steelers to see if we can get him in. 1-year deal. He played his card so beautifully here because minicamp is next week, and it's a mandatory.
So he's coming on, Aaron Rodgers.
No, I'm
he's not
joking. Do
coming
you think
on.
Aaron Rodgers is coming on right now?
Sorry, I forgot. That's only high-profile shows that get guests on like that.
Yeah, let's not
what
get
a stupid
ridiculous.
comment by myself.
It's Rick Rogers.
We can
his
get
uncle.
We can get his uncle on,
Rick
who's
Rogers.
from Pasadena.
Yeah.
We'll get Rick Rogers on. He'll come on and talk about his high school performance back in the day.
Uncle
But
Rico.
This guy played his cards so beautifully. He's been probably on some ayahuasca retreat for the last 3 months, doing whatever
Dark
podcast,
treatment, the no
everything,
light.
everything.
What's the money?
I haven't seen the number. Do you know the number, Doogie? Look that up.
20 million. No?
Oh, it's probably more than that. I mean,
think
it's
so?
I gotta think it's a 40. He's still Aaron Rodgers, and it's a 1-year
No,
deal. It's not a
buddy.
huge commitment, and the quarterbacks are getting paid. He's not playing for cheap. Like, that's not going to happen. But the money's irrelevant to him. He's made so much money. It's a 1-year deal. It's him and Tomlin. The thing is, it makes maybe the most interesting division that much more interesting because even though the wheels have kind of fallen off, he's not New York anymore. The Steelers make the playoffs every single year. Tomlin wills them to a playoff position every single year. And you got Joe Burrow, you got Lamar on the Ravens, right? You got the Browns and maybe Shedeur Sanders. Like, the AFC North is crazy when it comes to quarterback.
How do you think he's going to work with Tomlin, though?
I think he'll be fine because Tomlin's largely a raw defensive guy, and I think Tomlin understands he needs quarterbacking. Like, he tried it with Russell Wilson. He tried it with Justin Fields. You got to trust the guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got to have a quarterback, especially in that division. And the truth is, Tomlin, they might butt heads, but Rodgers is not going to – you're not changing this guy's stripes, man. He's going to go out and sling it and play ball the way he always does.
But Tomlin looks like a guy who'll stuff you in a garbage can if he doesn't like what he's saying.
That'll be a fascinating relationship.
Like
I don't know how that works. Just looking at the dynamics of both of them, wow.
Yeah.
There could be fireworks.
I think there's going to be some fireworks.
But he looks like an intense guy.
Yeah, he
right?
is.
Like, and he's not going to take any nonsense. And Rogers with the smirk walking off and that. Like, he might just scissor kick him once on the sidelines.
Well, you can try that. And Rogers, you know what he'll do is say, I'm out of here. And who's playing quarterback for you anymore?
That's true.
Like, that's we talk about Jake Ottinger in Dallas.
Yeah.
Times that by 1,000,000 when it comes to a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, it's
like
true.
Not by 1,000,000, but the profile of that position, the importance of that position, a guy of that stature, like Aaron Rodgers, you know, he's got kind of a Phil Mickelson thing going where his reputation has changed later in his career.
Yeah.
But he's an all-time great. Like, he's the Phil Mickelson of football. It's actually a perfect comparison. Now, they're in the news for different reasons,
right,
and for different approaches, but
can
the guy can play, man.
Can Aaron save his reputation? We were talking about Phil. Can Phil save his reputation? Can Aaron?
Phil can't on the course anymore. He's 55. He's done. Right. He's not going to play anymore. He's still committed to Live. They're still paying him. I don't know when his deal is up. That's going to be interesting.
Fascinating, yeah.
Like, if Live looks at Phil and goes, what did you really bring? What did
a lot
Mickelson
of those
bring?
original deals are up after this year.
Well, what did Mickelson bring? Like, he brought eyeballs,
dude.
but ultimately he didn't bring eyeballs. He brought attention.
I don't believe he won one event. He might have picked off one in the first year.
I don't know if he has.
What did he put in his jeans, though?
Oh, he got paid a lot of money.
Probably put $100 million in his pocket.
More than that. I think more than that.
Yeah.
I think he got $200 or $250 out of the gate.
Okay, so you put $250 million in your jeans, like I put that in my jeans. You see, I'll do anything.
That's the truth. Like, morals get thrown out the window all of a sudden with 250s in front of you.
It was 200, boys. It was 200.
200 million.
Okay.
Doogie from the Chiefs.
Doogie off the top turnbuckle. Great insight.
There's a Doogie cam. We've been here for 3 days. When did Doogie get his own camera?
It's just
look at look at
this guy. This guy's a stud.
And trying to be a hero.
Put him on more, Gap man. Put Doogie on more.
Put a hat on him, though. His hair's all fluffy.
Doogie looks phenomenal right now. Get that thing on your Tinder profile and start making
just that little video clip. Just say, here's a glimpse into what I do. Look at that, man. That is money. You'll have clicks left, right, center.
Doogie is going to be overloaded with DMs this weekend.
It's true.
Doogie, have your A stuff ready.
You up? Is that what it is? You up? You awake?
You up.
Little you up question mark.
There's going to be a lot of you up sent your way. Doogie's going to be on fire on whatever app you're using these days.
Yeah, whatever these apps
so
are.
We need a Canadian Open app just directing ladies towards Doogie and the Doogie cam.
The Doogie Finder. Just put him on a map and like have a hot zone where he is.
Yeah, look at Doogie, man. Just $1 million. Ratings through the roof whenever the Doogie cam's on. Why are we just learning about that on Friday? We've been here for 3 days.
3 days. They haven't had him on once.
All right, Doogie, you're getting a lot of action the next 2 hours, man.
Thank you.
Great
you're getting
job,
a lot
Doogie.
of action. And the Gap Man.
Yeah.
I love that.
Put the
Osprey
Gat Man
hat.
on there. Look at that.
The Gap Man is just crushing it back there, too. The whole crew, man.
Usually in his van.
He usually is really freaking people out in his creepy van out there.
Can I throw it a break?
Sure, why not?
What?
I shot the round of my life, and one of my colleagues, James Duthie, tried to tear me down. He made up a fake score sheet. He drew things on it, questioned my integrity. He did all kinds of bad things.
Canadian Screen Award picture.
Yes.
That's crushing.
That is awful that they put that up
crushing that they would do that to me, of all people. Forget you.
Anyway, the apology is coming up next.
Time now for
We can't get enough of the WNBA. Our first draft class has arrived.
Dallas Wings select Paige Beckers.
Teams stacked with new talent.
Jewel is the complete dog.
And the Valkyries take flight in the Bay. We've got more stars and more heat than ever.
Came here to serve.
The W on TSN. WNBA lives here. Welcome to the show, the one with unimaginable power and endless entertainment.
You can't help but be awed by it all.
Sunday Night Baseball, all season long on TSN.
The heroes we need now more than ever. They're super adequate.
Not the best locker room pep talk I've heard, but not the worst.
It's Mail It In Friday.
The plant called and said if you don't come in tomorrow, don't bother coming in Monday.
Woohoo! 4-day weekend.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Well, when Tiger Woods had all of his goings on, he had to go to TPC Sawgrass, rent out a room, and apologize to everyone. This is TPC Toronto on the 14th hole, the rink hole. To my left is a gentleman named James Duthie, who tried to take me down. And we brought it up earlier in the week. You love tearing us down.
That's what I'm known for.
We know
tearing people down.
that when you won
I think the quote was, I don't like anyone having joy.
We know that when you won the Screen Award, you did a little side look to Kenny Volden and said, Hazy thought he was going to win. And that's a dirty.
Do you know, I thanked him in my speech. The first thing I did was praise him, and that never got mentioned on this program.
That is true.
First thing mentioned in the speech.
He called you a grin screwer. That's
no,
what
I did not do that.
Not you, this guy.
He did that. That is accurate, but that was not my story to tell. I didn't want to say, well, Duthie threw me a shout out, which he did.
And then grin screwed you.
No, he was very supportive.
I believe I said I, too, was on Team Hayes for this, and this man has so much talent, he will win multiple of these before he's done. Thank you. And sat down, essentially.
I never heard any of this, Hazy.
That is a true story. No, not completely, because he went on to tell a soccer story and talked about his life, and there was a lot more that went into it.
I got back into me quickly.
Yes, he did. He pivoted quickly. There was a sharp
back
turn.
to me quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, but that is true. That is true. But we're not here to talk about
No.
We're here to talk
Once
about
again, we're here. No. I need 90 seconds.
Go ahead.
Uninterrupted.
Yes.
Can I have that? I've been a friend of the show for a long time. Can I have 90 seconds uninterrupted?
Go for
90
it.
seconds.
Done.
People of OverDrive. This started, first of all, when I first saw Carlo Koliakovo's post about my dear friend Jeff O'Neill shooting a 64, I was excited because I've played golf with Jeff. He's a dear friend, and I know how good he is. And so I was excited that my friend had shot the round of a lifetime. I was joyous about it. Now, did I have a couple questions in my head because I played with Carlo and there's like 8 breakfast balls and 12-foot gimmies, so there's some questions. But I know Jeff's a man of integrity. I was overjoyed. That was a Friday, correct?
Thursday.
Whatever.
Thursday.
So we get to maybe the weekend, and suddenly I'm a journalist. I went to the Carleton School of Journalism. I studied journalism. I was a reporter for many years. So my job, I still take it, is to gather information and give it to the public. Multiple sources sent me a scorecard, to which you have shown on this program, which was the official scorecard apparently for the tournament, which had 7 birdies.
Yes.
But also a bogey, a double bogey, which was never discussed on the card on this show, and an X. At which point, as a journalist, I decided to share that with 2 members of the show confidentially, saying that it might want to be brought up just to check, just to give O a chance to check. Of course, I was defamed and libeled and slandered on this show, and then you all cowered to it.
Why didn't you call Carlo and say, why did this scorecard?
Because he's not a reliable source.
He is not a reliable source.
I just said it should come up. So then, again, defamed throughout the week. I had to pull my young children out of school. They were getting attacked. My wife couldn't go to.
Your kids are 30, man.
Whatever. My wife couldn't go to Pilates. It was a horrible week for me, but I maintained my composure. Scotty Lawton came on. I'm gonna mess up the timeline. I'm gonna go Quentin Tarantino in Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
Scotty Lawton. Carlo was just messed the entire thing
You
up.
saw Carlo try to explain
it was a
something.
disaster.
He made it worse.
Made it worse.
He did.
Scotty Lawton came on, and I thought he was a great witness.
Yeah.
7 birdies, 1 bogey, 64. I witnessed it, and I at that moment I kind of let, you know what?
Yeah.
Like I said, just one of the best guys I've ever played with. I'm not done yet. I played with this guy named Dave Cox at Beacon Hall, awesome player. A couple of guys at my club, Mike Froyo, Gianfranco, and probably the best players I've ever played with outside of pros in the Pro-Am. Cam Champ I played with 2 years ago. You take credit for Nick Taylor. I'm taking credit for Cam Champ today.
Okay.
Here's where you lost me. Then I listened to the program, maybe it was the day before Scotty Lawton, and it starts with, hey guys, I woke up and I watched a flyover of the golf course, and I actually shot 62. I didn't make 7 birdies. I made 9.
Jimmy.
Now, wait. Uninterrupted. Everybody out here listening, there's a lot of golf fans because I've heard from 100 of them text. My phone is overflowing. I'm a 9 handicap. I know exactly where I am in every single round I play. Maybe once in a while if I blow up, I don't know if I'm 90 or 91. But if I'm have a chance to break 80, I know. If I'm shooting the round of my life, I know exactly how many birdies and bogeys I made.
Yep.
I don't wake up 4 days later and find 2 more birdies to make it a 62. So, my friend, I will applaud you on your 64. I think it's a fantastic round. But you've lost all credibility as a scorekeeper.
There you go.
Jimmy, the last, we'll put it to bed with this. Is it worthy of some type of qualifier / sponsors exemption next year? 1 round, if it's good enough, give me a number, and if I do it, I get in.
I like it. At least in one of the qualifiers, not a qualifier here, to play in a qualifier, which you probably can anyway. It's an open qualifier. The one other small detail, you said you played off the golds. It was actually the blacks. You would not have known that because they were tournament tees. My sources told me it was the blacks, 6,800 yards. The golds are like 7,400 yards. So there you go.
6,800 still that's a park, man. That's a ballpark.
Anyway.
So are you disappointed in me in particular? Because I buckled and I said, all right, fine, you shot 64. Like you and I
was disappointed in you. I'm having trouble with my notes blowing with the wind in here. I got to just put a weight down. Stop that. So, just to make sure they stay in place. Sorry, you were saying.
How many is that
what were
for
you?
you?
What were you saying?
Now I can't speak because I was that close to the Canadian Screen Award. Do you know?
That is grin screwing somebody so bad. That's the worst thing. That's Colin Montgomery on steroids.
It's just a paperweight.
How many have you won? Be honest. How many have you won?
I don't count 9.
Oh my God, you're so comfortable up there too.
Strokes.
This guy is.
It's like strokes. He knows exactly how many he's won.
He knows every Canadian Screen Award, and when he won,
put it in front of him for the segment.
Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to give it to the guy that deserves it.
Kanye. He wanted to Kanye you.
Yeah,
it's like the Stanley Cup. I can't touch it until I win a Canadian Screen Award. I will not touch it.
I heard Ron McLean. He's won a ton of these. I heard he gave them all away to people. I said, I'm not doing that.
No way, man. Those are your awards.
I put them up in my bedroom.
Listen,
so my wife can see them every morning and be reminded.
Congratulations. You earned it. You deserved it. You can actually speak to the montage. How quickly did they show our OverDrive in that montage?
Yeah, I didn't notice it. It was like you had to screenshot it thing.
It was actually, my wife said, I think I saw it. I'm like, I don't know. Because Duthie looks like $1 million. You're in Atlanta, Copa America, like Messi's in the background. And they had it frozen for felt like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then me, it was like a flash of the three of us.
Him screaming, they're brutal.
Yeah, and I'm like, we got no chance.
So
here.
be honest.
Do you know how stupid I felt putting that in my knapsack and bringing it to the golf course today?
I love that this thing's here. I want one of those, but I don't know if I'm ever going to get one.
You're going to
I'm
get
trying.
You're going to get several. You will.
Thank you. I appreciate
Be honest.
that.
Did you get a phone call in the morning saying you have to be there because you're going to win?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No.
But you're just that confident you show up and say, I'm winning.
Well,
so
he's the best in the business. Like, everyone knows when Duthie's there, everyone's like, James has won it a lot. James is probably going to win. I said that Andy Petrillo and I were afterwards. We're like, he's the best. We know it's coming. You just got to give it up.
No, it's nice of you to say that.
You
I
got to give it up.
You know, there's kind of a rule with these awards that whoever does the Olympics usually wins.
Right. So Andy was really
and she's won a bunch justifiably so
well,
for
exactly.
her.
She doesn't point that
for her
out.
Olympic coverage.
Yeah.
But so I didn't think I was going to win. I told this story before. There was one year when I think it was an Olympic year, and sometimes you can go by the seating, right?
Yes.
And Landsberg and I were both nominated, and we were at the very back of the hall, and then there was a standing room area for fans, and like it was like bleachers in a standing room, and then there was like the front tent rows, like Ron McLean and Brian Williams were in the front row, and Landsberg and I were in the bleachers. So I just started pounding cocktails at the party. And then it's like the Sportscaster of the Year or whatever goes James. And I was like, what? And I'm like, I don't even know how I'm going to get to the stage.
Right.
I was crawling through people.
Well, see, I've never been to one, and I was the opposite because I get in there, I don't know what I'm walking into, and Aaron and I were front row center, and I'm like, this might actually.
He's wearing a tux too. He said he wore a tux.
Well, I was. Now you had an A suit on too, and I appreciate you giving me the heads up because he was my conduit. I was bugging him for weeks. I'm like, what are we wearing? I felt like a kid. I'm like,
the only thing
what's
awkward
this look
is
like?
throughout the show I'd glance over and he had a speech written and he was like, he was just prepping the notes. He was like, okay, to the O-Dog, thank you. To Noodles, you guys are and then
it never happened. Although you can tell the people that have won before get up there and it's like, yeah, thanks so much. This has been a blast. All right, see you later.
Yeah, like literally nothing.
And the people that haven't, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I just want to thank, and they go through this whole routine. And that would have been me up there for sure.
Jimmy, what people around here can't believe is what Rory did around this.
Oh my goodness.
Did you see him? You were walking around with him?
Yeah, I watched 11 when he basically had his one-handed it before he made contact. And I was only watching on TV from the media center when he made the quad on 5 or 6 or whatever it was.
5, yeah.
Couldn't find his ball, and that was it. Like, that was checkout time right there. And I think it is fascinating. You guys may have already talked about it, but I think we all thought when he won the Masters that it was going to free him up and he was just going to go nuts, right, and win about 6 majors in the next 8 years or whatever. And I think and he sort of talked about this earlier this week, it's the opposite. I think that he's kind of lost.
Yep.
That he's, all he's thought about his whole life is this, and now he's got a bit of a now what thing going on.
Yeah.
And I think he'll, I bet you he comes back next year. Maybe it's, by the Players or the Masters next year, he's found another goal and he's remotivated. But I think he might struggle. Maybe for the rest of the year, just because he's been trying to climb this mountain for so long.
He's going to blow $1 million at that Oakmont if he's anywhere close to this.
He's fourth to last or something in the field right now.
I honestly would not be surprised if he missed the cut by 10 strokes next week at the U.S. Open.
I don't want to go too far down the road, but it might be a WD after something outrageous after round 1.
If he shoots like an 81 or something, it may be the old shoulder.
I can't even believe we're having this conversation.
This guy, when you consider how he played at Pebble, how he played at the Players, how he played at Augusta, like those are 3 signature events.
I think there's something up with him, and I don't want to dive into, but he just looks like he's distracted. There's something up.
Well,
it's
you go
not
from
golf,
he addressed earlier this week the whole, first of all, not talking at the PGA was very strange for him, and he gave a long answer for it. You guys may have already discussed it, that he was upset about the whole driver non-configuration thing, and he's not due to talk about it, but. I agree with you, Owen. Who knows what's going on in his personal life?
Yeah,
whatever,
there's something up with him. He looks distracted.
Yeah,
like there's something off.
It's not normal sort of Rory right now. So sad to see because let's face it, we want either Rory or Canadians on the weekend. Looks like we got a bunch of Canadians that might be in, but there's going to be no Rory.
Yeah, you're right, man. Like he is. He is solo.
Were you guys all Googling Richard Lee this morning?
Yes. I don't
want to be rude, but I never heard of him before.
Bob Weeks is in. Obviously, Bob knows him, and Bob remembers when he met him 7 years ago. But he's, and he said he played great today. But Bob, he's got to be in there and be like, all right, I got to know what's going on with this guy, where he's coming from, how he's playing, because Richard T. Lee. Yeah. He's
been on the Asia tour for a decade, and he's 34, 35 years old. So there's no reason. He's been here 3 or 4 times. I don't think he's ever made the cut. And, so I was at my club this morning, and this woman walks through the shop. We were watching it on TV, and she goes, oh, that's my nephew. And we're like, what?
You're kidding me.
Are you going to come watch this weekend? She goes, no, I'm going to play golf.
Yeah, we're good. I'd rather not. Say hi to Richie if you see him.
Say hi to Rich if you see him.
Say hi to
little nephew Rich.
Ludwig Oberg's out there with McIlroy. He's at 3 under. The cut line looks like it's going to be
2, I think.
Just moved to 3.
Oh,
so
no.
it's straddling. Yeah, it's starting. It's moving around. It's 2 or 3. Like it's going to be right there. We'll see what happens.
We need it at 2. We need it at 2.
We needed at 2 to get that many more Canadians, including our guy Matt Scobie in there. But Taylor's at 8 under. He's still out there. Pendrith and Mackenzie Hughes and Corey Connors. Like those are the big 4 Canadians.
Yeah.
Right.
We get
Adam
2,
Hadwin would be the
I
5th.
think a good ask would be let's have 2 of them in the final 3 to 4 pairings on Sunday. I think that's a fair ask, and that would be pretty exciting.
Yeah, and Hadwin. It
would be nice to get Oberg in there. Oberg made a quad on 11. I think the par 3 11, if you're at home, is just a mess on the side of the hill. Obviously, you didn't hit it there.
Not even close.
But he took 4 to get out of there and made 7. So it would be nice to see him around on the weekend as well. But Shane Lowry and a couple of Canadians on Sunday would be fun.
That's kind of what you're looking for here. Lowry, you got Ryan Fox, Jake Knapp. Sam Burns is up there. Now, he's an RBC guy, so he'll be here every year. Cameron Young. It's kind of interesting how you perceive who you want to win so that they'll come back. Right? Like the RBC guys are coming back. The Canadians are coming back. I think if you can get Shane Lowry in there, and he's been great and right on the precipice of winning, but he can't close. So we'll see what he's got this weekend. James Duthie with us here. We're at the Wrinkle RBC Canadian Open Game 2 Cup Final tonight.
Yeah. You heading in after too? Right?
I am. You and I.
Yeah. So you guys are doing the hot.
Yeah, we're wrap the golf, and then we do the hot zone after the game.
Hot zone after the game on TSN and on YouTube and on the TSN YouTube channel. Must win for Florida. That's how we perceive it. Do you see it the same way?
I would say that if Edmonton had lost, I don't think you can say that with the Panthers because we just saw it with Toronto. So how can you say that? I know Edmonton's not Toronto, and it's probably edging towards that. But would any of you be shocked if the Panthers won 2 back in Florida and it was 2-2 coming back to Edmonton?
I think you're right. It just I think you don't want to play with fire like that.
I'm with you. I don't think they would be rattled by it.
I think the Edmonton Oilers have got to be saying to themselves, we have to have our best game in the last 2 years tonight.
I think it's as important to Edmonton as Florida, even though Edmonton's up 1-0.
Oh, yeah.
Because you want to just stranglehold this thing, and you want to get on that flight to Florida saying, if we steal 1 here, this thing's, we're going to have 3 cracks, and we're too good a team to lose it.
Yeah.
So I think it's, you say it's a must-win for Florida. I think it's like equal pressure and equally important for both teams.
Well, it's not like McDavid's serious about it or anything. Like he has been.
Guy looks almost miserable after the game.
I love it,
dude. He's a stone cold killer, man.
Yeah,
he's a stone cold killer.
I love it.
They won the game, and he was giving guys high fives after the game. He was like, yeah.
Well, but then he gets into media, and it's just like, guys, I told you. It's like, all right, dude, you're 1 up in the Cup final, but I don't think. The guy could have front row tickets to the funniest comedian on earth, and he just sit there and stare at him.
I just think he's on a mission. Until he achieves what he wants, I can't even imagine what he's like on the plane or in the dressing room before. He just and I've met him in social settings. He's a nice guy and he's funny.
Yeah,
he's a good guy. But I think right now you just look. He is all business.
Which this is when you're supposed to be.
Can I tell you guys a quick 1-minute story? I
Give us 90 seconds.
I'm not trying to promote in the book, but so my daughter's boyfriend named Luke. He's a good hockey player. Plays at Nipissing, so a good hockey player, but not going to play pro. But he plays in this really good beer league in Newmarket. And McDavid occasionally has shown up. McDavid's buddies have a team. So last summer, they get to the quarterfinals and they're playing McDavid's buddies teams, and they always have a beer in the parking lot before they go in for the game.
Yeah.
And they're waiting and talking. Do you think any chance he's going to show up? But it was the weekend after McDavid got married. So they're like, there's no chance he's going to show up. So sure enough, they're about to go in and get dressed for the game. This SUV comes strutting into the parking lot. Out walks McDavid. They're like, oh, crap. Passenger door opens. Out comes Draisaitl. So now they're like, oh, my goodness. They get on the ice. And these guys are wearing their Oilers helmets and socks and pants.
Yeah.
All they're wearing is the beer league jersey, and the rest of it is Oilers gear.
Yeah.
And these kids are now. There's some good kids on this team, some college players, and there's one Detroit Red Wings prospect. I can't remember his name. Sorry. So anyway, these guys are out for skate, I think, at first, but they started taking it seriously, and I think they scored 5 goals each. But when they were off, the other guys aren't that great. And these guys were good. So it ends up 11-11. It goes to overtime. These guys get a 2-on-1.
Oh my
McDavid bobbles the puck, The guy goes, the Red Wings prospect goes the other way, scores shelf, they win.
No way.
And these guys in beer league, you're not supposed to celebrate, right? Of
course.
They couldn't. They lost.
Crazy.
They lost it on the bench. So I was talking to him today, and he's like, if they win the cup, we'll be the last team to have eliminated McDavid and Draisaitl.
That's a great story to have.
Funny.
Yeah, pretty good, isn't it?
That's incredible. Like that, and that's one where you can picture the wires as some of the guys on the other team being like, I'm going for it. Man.
Exactly.
If I can bury him, I'm going to bury him.
Of course. That's your competitive nature going, if I can beat a team with those guys on it, like that's their Stanley Cup.
And you can only imagine how much they were just cruising around out there.
He said Draisaitl, he said McDavid was playing normal. Draisaitl the first period was just shooting from everywhere.
Yeah.
And the goalie, who's another kid I know, he said he ripped one off the crossbar on the first shift, and he said, I never felt anything like this in my life. It went up and hit the roof of the building, but that was the beer league miracle.
Yeah, those are great stories. Well, they're close, right? Like the two of them are best friends.
Jimmy, let me ask you this about some of the other Edmonton Oilers. Where has Evan Bouchard skyrocketed up your charts in the defenseman rankings in the last couple years? Because he always had these shifts in the regular season where everyone's like, oh, look how lackadaisical that guy is. I think that guy has morphed into an absolute stud.
I've listened to you guys more than I usually do. Usually I only listen when I'm on. I'll listen to the podcast afterwards this week. You've had a week, like from the whole 62-64 thing to you had Marner's jersey being retired, which lit up the entire community.
That went crazy.
And then yesterday, I think you had like Evan Bouchard with Bobby Orr in the all-time best defenseman HUD. Is that what it was? Something like that?
It was Cale Makar.
But let me just hang on. Let me just rewind it, Jimmy. If the guy's top 5 in points, isn't that jersey retirement worthy?
You're talking Marner now.
Yeah.
We're back into the Marner channel.
Not for me, but
it's got to be. There's got to be an aura thing to it. And you can't you can't just look at the numbers. I think with the jersey retirement.
But maybe that's why Carolina won't even give me a call to go to any events.
I mean, you make a good case because of, like Chris Neal's got his jersey retired in Ottawa, right? But that was different because everybody loved him and the organizational thing. I don't think that's going to happen with Mitch here.
So what about Bouchard? Has just got a little too crazy with that?
I think he's top 5. He's in the hut. Depending how big the hut is. I like the hut. I got to think the hut should actually be a segment.
I think is a funny.
There really is a lot of potential and a lot of flexibility there because you can talk about food.
Sponsored by Pizza Hut? The Hut.
See, there's
Boston
so much of an opportunity.
Boston
Pizza's Hut, exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of potential there, and you can honestly put anything in there. You can build it for anything you want.
Yeah, we could have Doogie as the bouncer of the hut, and he gets a knock, and he has to look out to see who it is. And we decide if they're going in.
He's got a velvet rope, and then he's like, nope. You can't.
Okay, so now it's not really a hut. It's turned into like a Vegas nightclub.
No, it's like a club.
It's the hut.
We need it to be.
It's been a contentious week between us, but I think that I get your point. That all you were trying to do was bring attention to the fact that Evan Bouchard has become a star, and I think that's fair.
And you know what? I really do believe it's not McDavid and Draisaitl. It's a big 3 now.
Well, listen. The fact that you say that is a testament to how well he's been playing because the other two, you know what they're going to bring.
Yeah.
Like to match, not match them, but to be included in that conversation.
Yeah. He still coughs one up. Like he coughed one up the other night.
And it'll happen tonight.
He had one the other night that literally.
Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
It'll happen tonight.
We were all sitting there going, that could have been disastrous.
I know.
Because I think it was at 3-1, and that could have been the lights
Jamie,
out.
I'll tell you what. I'll take like the odd play like that because all we do is talk about. We're talking about the Maple Leafs and the Dallas Stars who choked it away in the conference final. Guys that are regular season heroes that don't really get it done on the play. This guy turns into a monster come playoff time. And to me, that's why he gets a key to the hut because he's a monster in the playoffs.
He is.
You know
He's a playoff performer.
What I loved, I was talking to Paul Coffey about this when I was doing an Ottawa-Edmonton game. And he said, everyone focuses on the one big error. He goes, not the 9 great plays he makes. So if you're a 90-10, even if you're 80-20, that's what Ray Bourque was. Ray Bourque in Boston was known as Giveaway Ray. That was his nickname.
Yeah, he'd have one pizza a game.
I mean, but he'd have a pizza, but then you go, this guy dominates the whole game, but yes, he's going to have an error here. He's going to have an error there. When you play that much, you are going to make mistakes. Bouchard's, I just think when his game is a little bit quieter, not as high risk, he's a dominant force. I have him in the hut, but I have the hut has to be a little bit bigger. That's for me because I've got Hedman in there. I've got guys like that who have done it every year. basically, for me, Hedman is Ekholm and Bouchard stuffed together as one player.
Yeah.
A monster.
The question is where he is in his career. Like, he's a little bit older for sure, but when he was in his prime, Hedman's a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's no questioning that.
Yes, exactly.
But in terms of like the playoff performer, we look at who could become a UFA in a few weeks. Mitch Marner, Sam Bennett. They're both represented by the same agent, Darren Ferris.
Yeah.
How would you describe? Or who would you choose is either made more money or lost money in terms of playoff performance? In other words, like, has Bennett made $1 million or $2? And do you think
$2 million a year Bennett has made from playoffs?
Do you think conversely Marner lost any money? Probably. Because that conversation never comes up.
No, because you never lose money. You just, there's always somebody hungry enough to look at the 100-point player, and he's probably worthy of a big contract depending on what the market is. It's just not Toronto probably anymore because of all the baggage. So I don't think he's lost money. I would be a little bit hesitant if I was a general manager of another team who was a playoff contender. I would be concerned about the way he's performed in the playoffs over the years.
Yeah. Well, there's a big difference between teams that want to get over the hump in the playoffs and teams that want to make a splash in free agency.
Right.
Detroit, Buffalo, Chicago.
Yeah, so he hasn't lost a cent to those teams.
No,
like the Anaheims and the Detroits and the San Joses and probably maybe even Vegas. He hasn't even, because I think there's always those franchises too who feel like it'll be different with us. Toronto's problem is not Mitch, and let's face it, Toronto's problem isn't Mitch. It's some weird thing with the mix.
Right.
But so they'll always say, with our mix, you put him in our group.
Right.
And Vegas is probably saying that, and he'll be fine. Right. Yeah. And I think everybody believes that, and that they may be right. We won't know until if it happens and they win a cup again.
Don't you think, and he'll go to free agent, there'll be 25 teams that want him, and it's differing numbers. But if the Florida Panthers say, you want to come play for a team? This is what we have for you. Take it or leave it. It's not, hey, we're gonna move this player out to find $14 million for you. It's like, we've got a number, and if you fit, great. If not, good luck to you.
Honestly, it might be Sam Bennett's number. Who wants it first? Because they are an example of a team that clearly only cares about the playoffs. And I guess that's what I'm getting at is
I think Sam Bennett is a $6.5 million a year player based on the regular season, and a $9 million a year player because of his playoffs. So there's 2.5, and that's 30% more I've basically added to his contract.
It's dangerous because he's not a young guy, and if the playoff performance, if the bounces don't go his way, and all of a sudden it's 50 points in the regular season, and he's snake bitten in the playoffs, and you're out in the first round, you're like, wow, we just paid that guy a lot of money. But to your point of the Anaheims and Chicagos and San Jose's, they're a different story. Clearly, Marner is a much more important piece than Sam Bennett would be. But a team like Toronto, a team like Florida, a team like Dallas, a team like Colorado, there's 7 or 8 teams who are constantly in the window, always competitive. In the playoffs, Sam Bennett is a better performer.
He might be a missing piece that you need.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
He's not going to get 100 points. He's not going to.
So would you if Toronto was to get Sam Bennett at $9 million, would you be okay with that?
I think I would be able to stomach that.
I think you have to.
Yes, I know. I get it. It's a big number. It's a huge number. But you
also need a supplementary player to if Marner's 100 points goes out the window and Tavares' 38 goals ain't coming back. There's got to be something other.
But
than
you
that.
are going to use that money because that's really 3 or 4 players for the $22 million.
And somebody said the other day, if you're going to sign Sam Bennett, don't be looking for 40 goals at Christmas time.
No,
it's not going to happen. But you might get 12 or 15 on the way to a Stanley Cup.
And your team looks different. And keep in mind, if he's placed in a different situation, maybe he gets more power play time. Maybe he gets 60 points instead of 50.
Well, I'll put it to you this way, as far as an organization and the way that the people look at them. Sam Bennett, if he does leave the Florida Panthers, he will be a Matthew Tkachuk type influence on an organization.
Right.
And if it's Toronto, it's a completely game-changing player that thinks about things differently, has a different approach, because we always know what the Toronto guys have been known for skill and producing points. This guy's not. It's something completely different, and it would be very much needed if they could ever.
He's not known for producing points, but he's got 12 goals to lead the playoffs.
Here's something else crazy, though. Would you take Sam Bennett on 7 years at $9, or or you take Brad Marchand at 3 years at 7?
I'll take them both.
Yeah, I would love them both.
I don't care how long their contracts
I'd probably take Bennett because he's younger and he plays a more important position. He plays center. Like, I think they need help up the middle of the ice.
Right.
But
talk about attitude.
Marchand would bring it as well. And I think that's – and again, with Bennett, yes, he's not a 100-point guy. He's also not – Steven Lorentz.
Yeah, he's not a 12-goal guy.
Yeah. He's not on the fourth line. He's going to be on the third line with good players, or second line with good players, and put up some good numbers.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to be awful for you. He's going to score 20 or 25 goals, and he brings a different component, different energy, and he'll perform in the playoffs. He's proven that.
It's pure fantasy to get both those guys, though, isn't it?
It is. And it's almost also, I can see the reaction from the rest of the league. All right, Florida beat you, so you just go and try to be them.
Right.
But they at least wouldn't be alone. If both guys get to free agency, a lot of teams will try to clear money and try to get both.
100%.
Because why wouldn't you? They're both winners. They're both right in the middle of everything.
I'm the other way. I'll take the D-man.
Ekblad?
Yep.
I don't think he's going here.
Do you concern yourself at all with the like whatever he got tested for, PEDs?
No.
Not at all.
I mean, not really. I mean,
he was taking something. He got clipped.
Sure. But now he's not going to get clipped anymore. He's not going to be able to. But he's still a hell of a player. And he's a guy who can play. Like, that's an anchor #1 defenseman. That's an anchor.
Is he in the hut?
No. The hut's only five deep.
Is that what was established? I didn't know that.
We were a three-man hut yesterday.
It's a three-man hut. It's a five-man hut.
He's not in the hut.
Five stools at the hut.
But what I'm saying
That's what's
is
great about the potential of the hut segment coming up. It's like we can expand it. Now there's this many people, that many people. We put an extension on it.
It's doing so well financially, we're already starting to expand.
I'll complete the loop. You are in my hut of the best golfers I've ever played with, alongside Mackenzie Hughes, Cam Champ, Dave Cox, Mike Froyo, actually Gianfranco. You might be outside the hut. I won't count the pros. Then you're in the hut. You are also in my hut of the most uncredible BSing scorekeepers I've ever met in my life. You were in both. You're double hutting.
You're double hutting.
You're double hutting.
You're the first guy ever in the double hut.
Hut.
He's got integrity.
Don't forget your Canadian Screen Award.
I got more to
Leave that behind.
James Duthie of the Canadian Screen Awards joining us here in studio at the Ringgold RBC Canadian Open.
Let's go!
Everyone's left.
No one can see you.
OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Mail It In Friday brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. This playoff season, Boston Pizza is planning the parade and has a new all-star playoffs menu for you to enjoy. For pizza, pints, and puck drops, visit your local Boston Pizza today. So Boston Pizza, they would hook us up at the hut.
Absolutely.
Right? They would hook us up at the hut. Boston Pizza would happily send us food and drinks and just say, we want to really set the tone there. And we've established that this week. And it was starting with elite defensemen in the National Hockey League. The duos of the NHL, I mean, it's very clear it's McDavid and Draisaitl right now. Like, they are clearly number one. If we got the hut and Doogie's running the operation and we've established this is about duos in the NHL, let's talk specifically forward duos.
Okay, forward.
Right? So that you take out McKinnon, McCarr, because I think that would have come up quickly. But, who would be second? Because there was a time when you thought in Toronto, Matthews and Marner were on their way. I'd look at Barkov and Reinhart.
Yeah.
They're in the top five for sure.
Yep, it's a great call.
And it's interesting with that team because Tkachuk is like at the forefront of every conversation, but doesn't play with those two guys.
No. And Tkachuk he's not that 115-point player anymore.
The last couple of years, he's
a different
very good player.
You're going to talk about combinations, McCarr-McKinnon.
But that's what I'm saying, though. If it's only
forwards,
if it's only forwards, because if you're taking defensemen out, you're right. McKinnon, McCarr.
You know, there was a time Thompson and Tuck might have. I thought they were on their way to being really special.
It's interesting down in Buff, but they got to win.
Well, I understand
they got to get in the playoffs.
Tkachuk and Stützle?
I don't know if they're at that level yet.
They play together, you know.
Yeah.
Stützle's a 90-point guy. Tkachuk's what, a 38 goal scorer?
I'm sure we're forgetting guys. Do you have somebody, Doogie? Go ahead.
Well, would you bring Nikita Kucherov and Brady
Oh, my
Boyd
God,
in the
yeah.
house?
We forgot about that.
How about Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin in the hut?
I don't think so anymore, Doogie.
Yeah.
I think
Sid's still there, but Evgeny Malkin, he threw away the key to their hut.
Yeah. Well, and if Gensel was still there.
I was just going to say, if Gensel was there, the crazy part is that line is in the hut in Tampa.
Yes.
Gensel, Point, Kucherov.
You're right.
We haven't even talked about Kucherov getting another Ted Lindsay. Like, that's crazy.
Well, I mean, that guy every single year, and obviously, you know, Bettman and Daly were speaking on it this past week, that next year at the Olympics, the Russians aren't playing, and they're not going in as athletes representing Russia or whatever the hell they've done in the past, try to dance around it. Like, those players are just not going.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's geopolitics. That's the way the world is right now. I don't think it's a surprise. But, you know, if you're looking at it just simply from a hockey standpoint, I'm sure Ovechkin had that circled.
Sure.
Right? If this is Alex Ovechkin's final season in the NHL, go play in the Olympic Games. You see Kucherov there. Like the goaltending, if we ever get to a goaltending hut, there's a lot of Russian goalies that are knocking on that door.
There's a three-pack that is as good as anybody when they're playing their best games. Vasilevsky, Sorkin, and Shesterkin.
Yep.
But you're right, like that. In the end, like getting back to duos, like there's
Connor and Scheifele, would they be in your top five? Would you have Connor and Scheifele?
You know what I need to do, though? Is I need to see them in front of me. Because we were talking and we absolutely missed.
Eichel and Stone. Like Eichel and Stone would be, you know, high up. What you realize is just with these two teams in the Cup final, like the luxury that they have. Because even when you get past Barkov, Reinhart, McDavid, and Draisaitl, yes, Hyman's not playing right now, but he's on the team. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is on the team.
Vander Kane.
Vander Kane is on the team and is a performer. Over on the other side, you got Tkachuk and Bennett and Marchand and Lundell. Verhaeghe. Like Verhaeghe, that line, that top line is the best 200-foot line in the league. Like both.
Yeah.
The number 1 and 2 Selke vote getters were Barkov and Reinhart.
Yes.
And they're number 1 PK, number 1 PP. And what are they both being paid? Like Barkov's making 10, and I think
Barkov is at 10, isn't he?
He's at 10, and Reinhardt signed for 8.75 or something.
So at 18.7 for two players.
And then Verhaeghe signed for 7 or so. You have a line there that is making $25 million or less, and they're all in their 20s, all in their prime, and they're going to be there for the next 5 years playing together.
Yeah.
Like what a luxury to have if you're in Florida.
It is, and these tandems, there's. Again, teams that haven't made the playoffs, that it's a little tougher. Like I said.
That's why, like Tkachuk and Stützle, they're on their way, and they made the playoffs. They made the playoffs.
But like I thought, like Thompson and Tuck, there was a time a couple years ago where I was like, these guys are going to be a problem in the future. But they just haven't built a team around them. I don't know if you guys saw.
Buffalo seems like a team in the next 3 weeks because you talk about rumors, and again, it's rumors and you don't know. But there has been some rumors that there are players there that are like, I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
And you feel awful
more than already have?
Of course.
You're hearing rumblings that like Bowen, like young, good players that are like,
why would the modern player be any different? Like why? Like Ryan O'Reilly was like, get me out of here. Eichel's like, get me out of here. Reinhardt. Obviously, they all made the right choice.
Montour.
Yeah, they all made the right choice. They all left. They all won. They all went to the right place. And I'm sorry, I have no faith in Buffalo. Like I have no faith in the Sabres.
I think it's a shame, man. It's a built-in excuse for a guy that goes there. And so what? They can miss the playoffs next year, and it just gives a guy, no thanks. They don't win here.
Well,
and they're a part of the not winning. So you can go there and stink the joint out, and then you can just fall back on it and say, I don't want to be a part of this culture because we don't win. And meanwhile, you put your gear on, went on the ice, and you stunk the joint out. It's just like, what are we doing
You're right.
here?
The crazy thing about it, though, all there is rumblings coming out of there because we've said it. They got a bunch of good players. They don't play well as a unit, or they haven't. Like there's rumblings of, maybe an offer sheet for that J.J. Peterka. Like he's a good player. Like there's some good players there. They go and acquire Ryan McLeod. He's a really serviceable. I think he's a 2 centerman. He's a 3 really, but can he get to a 2? Mm-hmm. I look at Bowen Byram's a good young defenseman, mobile. Like they have a 4-pack of defensemen. That Dahlin's a hell of a player.
Seems like it's always the case, though.
But it's
like, because remember there was the
there?
report last year. Maybe Dahlin wants that, and he came out and squashed it, and then everyone.
But you know
went
why?
wild,
when you don't win,
that's what happens.
Exactly. People start to pick at the carcass and go, "Can I?" I mean, Dylan Cousins, 24-year-old, 6'4" centerman, traded. Like Ottawa, and people in Ottawa are pretty happy about it.
Yeah.
Our buddy Josh Norris goes the other way. He's a good player.
But now he's in Buffalo, and he's got to be the answer to help them get out of it.
Yes.
All right, so we've got Darren Dreger coming up from Edmonton. He'll get into the Peter Deboer firing today. Deboer fired in Dallas.
Yeah.
Get more into the free agency, which is right around the corner, right? Like we're getting there, and of course in a game 2 tonight. Jays are in Minnesota. Jays have been obviously red hot. I'm seeing online that Corbin Burnes is going to have Tommy John surgery. So, like he was obviously in Baltimore. Remember the Jays were in on him.
Did he sign in Arizona?
Yeah. He signed in Arizona. Big money. And the Jays were really pushing hard. It doesn't mean he would have blown his arm out here.
Right.
But Tommy John, man.
That takes him out of this season and
this
next.
year and probably all of next. And it's it just, in baseball in particular, and arms in particular, these pitchers are making so much money now. And yet he's going to miss the first 2 years of his deal. And I think it was like $275 million on a 7-year deal or something like that.
I would love to know, this is more of the business side, but the insurance that these guys pay on the, when your guy goes on an LTIR in hockey, insurance picks up like 80% of it.
Oh, I'm sure there's some insurance there, but the player's getting the money.
Well, a player's getting paid, but what I'm saying from a team standpoint, I can't imagine what they're paying for insurance on these players because the guy. Can you imagine what the insurance policy or what it would be on a guy like Ohtani and his contract?
$700 million, and the fact that he's had injuries in the past. Juan Soto, the same thing.
I would be fascinated to hear from a business standpoint
how you protect yourself.
Well, and what does an organization do? I mean, I might be missing something. I've just never dug into that, but that's a pretty fascinating story to see what they would do behind the scenes.
It's a huge part of sports too. Is just avoiding injury, man. Like who can stay healthy, who can get to the finish line.
Yeah,
it's a big part of it. All right, Darren Dreger coming up. Dear Hazy B in about 45. Our best bets coming up. We're tracking the RBC Canadian Open. We're live at the rink hole. TPC Toronto at Osprey Valley. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
NBA Finals, presented by DoorDash on TSN.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
My bad habits lead to late nights, sitting alone. Conversations with a stranger I barely know. Swearing this will be the last, but it
Just had an interesting conversation with one of the patrons here. He said, I was with you the year you got drafted, when you got drafted by the Whalers. We were at a bar in Guelph. Well, that's not true because I was at the draft in Hartford.
It's funny how that works over time.
Might have been somebody else.
Somehow,
you know what I mean? Like,
no, I understand what you're saying. That guy, he thought he was with you at a bar. He probably was legitimately there.
Maybe it was that week or something, you know.
Did you go back to Guelph after the draft?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so that guy literally just wasted your time for about 45
No,
seconds.
I didn't waste my time, but I just love the facts of these stories. He's like, the night you got drafted by the Whalers, we were together at a bar in Guelph. And I have been to a ton of bars in Guelph, but not that night. I was in Hartford.
Night. You were literally at the draft getting picked.
Yes.
So unfortunately, that story.
It might have been the week before the draft.
Maybe it was the week before. Man, listen, that's a long time ago, man. You're talking 30 years ago.
Yeah, well, how many years ago? You got drafted in 94?
More than 30 years ago.
1994.
So that's reasonable that he got his timelines mixed up. It happens. I mean, what are you going to do?
He's done that.
What are you going to do? It happens.
Yeah.
So as of now, the projected cut line is 3 under. And we're a little bit concerned about that because our boy Matt Scobie is 2 under par, and he was in here earlier, and he's a friend of the show. Right, we're going to get out and play with him at some point soon. And there's a couple other kind of Canadians who are straddling the line a little bit. Max Homa's at 2 under. He's in the clubhouse. He may not make it. Brant Snedeker's at 2 under. Luke List, Christian DeMarco, Chris DeMarco's son.
Yeah. So has the cut gone to 2 under yet?
No, it's still 3 under. And there's still guys out there, but you need a few of them now to drop.
Need a few to blow up a bit? Or?
Problem is, like, you're coming home with scoring and, like, a par 5 18th. A lot of guys are going to birdie that. So I don't know if it's going to stay at 3 or drop to 2, but it's more than likely going to be at 3. But the story of the first 2 days is undoubtedly Rory McIlroy, who has now wrapped up his RBC Canadian Open, and he has finished with a 9 over par for the tournament. He is tied for 149th with Canadian Wesley Hefferman. So, needless to say, McIlroy basically came up here, knocked you out of your course, went and made a bunch of change, showed up, messed around at the Pro-Am with Keith Pelly, blew 9 over for 2 rounds and said, I'm out of here. Like,
dude, that was
basically a no-show for McIlroy.
For that guy, that is exactly what it is. It's a no-show for how talented of a player. And I get it, some weeks you don't have it and you're going to miss the cut. But there's something up there. From what happened with the PGA Tour or at the PGA Championship, and then to come here, misses the Memorial, doesn't call Jack Nicklaus, and he just looks out of sorts. There's something up with the guy.
You think once he won, I know you probably can't do this, but you can't take a little time off to regroup. Like, can you do that?
That's the problem is you make commitments.
That was 2 months ago, guys.
No, I
We're
understand
2 months ago.
But maybe if he takes a month off to get everything out of the system,
then that's what he should have done then. Take a month off after the Masters if you really needed to.
Again, in hindsight, I'm just saying, this guy wins. He reaches the top of the mountain. That's all he's been chasing his whole life, all he's been fixated on. Your natural reaction is to take your foot off the gas. He's probably been overwhelmed with so much. Everywhere, this guy's a champion now, and everybody wants to talk. Everyone wants a piece of him. He's probably being pulled in a million different directions. You mentioned, like, who knows? He also has a personal life that he needs to take care of, a home life. We all do. Like, it might have been better if you win to go, I'm going to shut things down for a couple weeks and just let my life, like, settle down a little bit, enjoy it, instead of coming out and doing what he did. You know, again, it's 2 months later, but he's doing.
So, I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but you're still. That's just not a reality.
Yeah.
In the
no,
golf,
I get
you've
it.
made commitments. You've said you're coming. You know, they've sold tickets.
Yeah.
To me, it looked like to me when he shot 71 yesterday, he was like, I'm not doing anything here, so I'm out of here.
Right.
And that's effectively how he played today.
I know, but I don't think he had a great first round last year. I thought he was going to come out and blister this course today because that's what those players do. It's 64, and he's back in the mix, and it's...
I mean, the guy shot a 78 today.
Dude, a
Like
78 is a complete mail, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Some things can happen. You can airmail a green. Things can go wrong. But that is, after he airmailed it over the green, when he was looking for the ball with his caddy, I would guarantee you he would tell the caddy, make sure you get on the phone and get the bird fired up.
Yes, absolutely.
It's game over.
No, he's out of here. Like, I don't know if he's done media or not. Doogie looked that up. But that guy, he's probably going to go down to Florida for a day or two, and then he's at Oakmont.
The teller would be, if you looked in the back of his truck after the round,
luggage,
what was in there.
Yes.
That would be a fascinating thing to see.
His suitcase.
I guarantee it was packed.
I guarantee it was too.
Yeah.
If you open the back of his truck, there would not just be golf clubs.
No.
It would be his luggage and everything.
Everything was ready.
Passport,
ready. Everything. That guy, because honestly, when he took a quad on 5, he was at Oakmont already.
Yeah.
Like, he was gone. And honestly, I think it's going to be ugly for him next week.
Dude, he's going to get his ass handed to him.
I think he's going to get
got
destroyed.
anything like this game.
Yeah. And now the one thing is Portrush, that's a big one for him. The Open Championship, it's right around the corner from where he grew up. It's basically a home course. He missed the cut when he was there 6-7 years ago. He will likely be up for that, but his game's just nowhere close to it. And McIlroy showed up here and basically waved for 36 holes and left. So we'll see if he returns. And that's the next question. Is he going to keep coming back? He always said he'd like to, but it's never that easy. Final hour coming up. Dear Hazy B, Darren Dreger from the Cup Final. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
It's Canada's turn on F1's World Tour of Speed.
Side by side. This is Formula One at its absolute finest. It's a hat-trick of wins from Max Verstappen in Montreal.
The Canadian Grand Prix on TSN and CTV.
Sail GP lives here.
It's Mail It In Friday.
Yeah, hi, it's Bill Lumberg again. Yeah, it isn't a half day or anything like that.
This is Overdrive.
It's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
With Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Final hour Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles, McLennan. We're up on YouTube Live, of course, on the TSN YouTube channel as well. Every hour of every show, the whole show posted on there. And we're up on TSN 2, iHeartRadio app. You can find us everywhere.
It's a great day to be out at the golf course, and it's also a great day today, Brian, because you turn 42 years old today.
Wow.
Thank you. Yes.
It's a good number.
That's the most meaningless nothing birthday number
It's getting a little
of all time.
crazy because I think I remember your 30th birthday.
That's what's scary is like my wife was saying today, we met when we were 24, and now we're 42.
So she's known you 18
like
years.
It's flipped the other way now, and you're right, man. I was 30. Like when I started working here, I think I was 26 or 27 or something.
That was a different world back
That was
then.
a different world, and I had the bad shirts and the moose face and everything going, and now it's a completely different scene. Now we're at the Canadian Open.
That is like there is, what is that meme where it's like, how you're doing, how it's now or whatever, like that.
How it's going or whatever, how it was. Yeah, I know what you mean.
That is
There's some flashback stuff out there that is not pretty. It's not pretty.
Blue lunch. That's what
that's how it started, man. Long time ago. But we're still rocking, and we got Game 2 of the Cup Final tonight. And the first two games of the NBA Finals and the Cup Final, you can't ask for anything better.
They were good.
Like, I would argue the better game, the hockey game, from start to finish, lead changes and all that. Better finish, which is crazy because Draisaitl scores an overtime on home ice and the place goes nuts. But I think the Halliburton shot, like they were losing the whole game and they win with 0.3 seconds left. Like you had everything in both games. You had everything in both games. Just an incredible start for both leagues.
Are there adjustments, though, where you're sitting there because they only led for 0.3 seconds. So you go, hey, play the same game, just defend a little better.
Probably if you're Oklahoma City. I guess, try to protect the 3-point. You got to get better defensively down the stretch.
SGA was good.
Yeah, he put up big numbers. Took a lot of shots, though. But he had a lot of points last night.
What do you think, Silver? Like we always joke about Jerry, how he's dying for the Rangers and he loves the American markets. What do you think, Silver, like if you could have truth serum, what his thoughts are on this matchup?
I think he's forcing himself publicly to love it because he's trying to chase the NFL, but I think he is absolutely insane to think that.
Well, let's start with NFL players want to play every game. There's only 17 of them, but they're interested in playing.
But it's deeper than that. Football in the U.S. Nothing comes close. No. It's a religion down there. You're not the NFL. You can't be, you won't be.
Yeah. Dude, on Sundays, it's this country too.
Absolutely.
You're not competing with a hockey game, Leafs, nothing.
Canadian Football League is back. The Argos are playing in Montreal tonight, right? The Rough Riders won last night, so you've got football back in the country.
Yeah.
So the CFL on TSN is back, and you're right. Once you get to the NFL too and you cross over both leagues, there's nothing like it in the fall in this country.
No.
Like, nothing matches it.
By the way,
Super Bowl's the biggest number we do, period.
Crazy.
I saw my Partsy. Is it true that he might be doing some sideline reporting for the CFL on TSN?
I thought I saw that on Twitter, yes.
I don't know what is fact from fiction with him. Like, Luke Wilson is on Twitter saying different things, and I believe he is doing, showing up at games, sideline reporting. I don't know if he's in Montreal tonight. Do we know if he's at McGill? I don't know if he's there tonight. But I think Luke is going to be contributing to the CFL on TSN. And I love that because he's a football savant. He's a bigger-than-life personality.
Yeah.
And he's
my Partsy. I want to be on the sidelines with him one time in Toronto for an Argos game. I think we got to do a hit from the sidelines.
I love that idea.
I love it. But if he embraces that league, It's good.
Absolutely.
Because he is, he's such a larger-than-life personality.
And he'll have a different viewpoint of the league as well, which I think is going to give it a bit of a jolt. He didn't play in this Canadian Football League, but he's Canadian. Right? He's Canadian, and he gets it. So, yes, Luke, I think is going to be a big part of that going forward. But unbelievable start for the NBA Finals. We'll get back to the Adam Silver stuff because I got more on that a little bit later in the hour. It's flipped on him, how people are feeling about him and the way he operates right now, considering – 7-8 years ago when he took over.
Yeah.
And it was an unbelievable Game 1 in the Cup Final. Game 2 tonight, Edmonton, Florida. Here's our TSN hockey insider, Darren Dreger. How you doing, Dregs?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Just a quick segment with you guys and then a little pregame meal.
Yes.
Rumor has it Frankie Corrado's alligator arms might get into his pockets. We'll see.
Wow, that would be a big development.
A coupon.
He's the old, anybody want dinner? I forgot my wallet today. It's a signature move.
Yeah.
Disappointing to hear that.
Disappointing
to hear that. Yeah, we got Game 2 of the Cup Final, but we had some news in the NHL today. Peter Deboer fired as the head coach in Dallas. Everyone's got a different viewpoint on why it took so long. It's not like it took 2 months, but it took a while. There's no other vacancies around in the NHL. And, the way he went out, Game 5, Ottinger, what happened here, and what is your impression of why Dallas decided Peter Deboer can't be our coach anymore?
Well, I mean, the way the season ended is a big part of it. And not just because of the Jake Ottinger incident or the post-game comments where obviously Pete Deboer did not back it up. Well, he did, the bus, and then he rolled over Ottinger again and again in his post-game remarks. So that was a factor. I think just the fact that the Dallas Stars did not advance to the Stanley Cup Final was as crucial as anything. They really felt, and still feel to this day, that they were the better team. They just didn't prove it. They didn't execute. And because of that, there's speculation around Jason Robertson. So clearly they feel like their roster needs some adjustments and maybe further change, and felt like they did that at the trade deadline and bringing in Mikko Rantanen. But on top of it, they also feel like Pete Deboer has had his run, and they just need a new voice and a different direction to push this team over the top. So I get it. Teams go through this. Every coach has a shelf life. It just seems for Peter Deboer, when you look at recent stops, Vegas, of course, why wasn't he the guy to get the Vegas Golden Knights, to the promised land of the Stanley Cup championship? Don't know. And now in Dallas, but he's got another year left, $4+ million. So I think he's going to be fine financially. And now that all the jobs have essentially been taken, you wonder if maybe it is in his best interest to just sit tight. Just sit tight. And if something surfaces next season that's a fit where he feels that it's another good opportunity to win, that might be the best option for him.
So, Dregs, they go through the process, and obviously, year-end meetings and, a forensic audit of the organization. How much do you think having meetings one-on-one with the players factored into it?
Definitely factored in, no doubt about that. But I don't want to paint this picture that, 2/3 of the lineup, went into their meeting with Jim Nill, the general manager, and just roasted him. I don't get that impression. I don't. And in fact, I would say that there are veteran players who have a lot of time for Pete Deboer and liked him a lot as a head coach. But there was some of that. There's no doubt. So Nill would take the comments from the players, maybe other staff members, along with his own concerns or questions and his own discussions with Pete Deboer. And then ultimately he would meet, as he did, I believe, yesterday with the owner, Tom Ghilardi, and collectively they would make that call. So I think all of those factors contributed, along with what I said about the end of the year and the fact that Dallas Stars are not in the Stanley Cup Final and Edmonton is.
With Darren Dreger, our TSN hockey insider. So the Leafs hired Derek Lalonde as their associate coach or assistant coach, basically taking over for Lane Lambert, who is now the head coach in Seattle. I don't know what his connection is with Berube. I guess they've been around the league for a long time, but kind of quick work. And listen, he's been an assistant coach in Tampa when they won 2 cups. He was a head coach in Detroit. And I said earlier, Dregs, I think what's really significant is he knows the division so well. He's worked in the division for a decade. He knows everything about Florida, Tampa, Detroit. the Leafs, I mean, I think it's a really good hire, and I think there's a real chance that he brings a different viewpoint of not only how the Leafs perform, but how the division works that could be very beneficial.
I think it's an excellent hire. And look, I got wind of this earlier today, and, wasn't sure that it was going to happen today. And then the Dallas news broke, and I thought, oh, boy, wait a minute. Maybe Jim Nill has Derek Lalonde on speed dial, and maybe he slides over into the opportunity in Dallas. And obviously that isn't the case. I like the hire because of the experience of Derek Lalonde. The one thing that people around Detroit especially talked about, and this isn't a knock on Lalonde, it's just the reality of the situation. If he lacked anything, maybe it was a tad bit of presence on the bench, if that makes any sense, because tactically he's noted as being a real good hockey man. In-game adjustments, all of that, he's got that. So now Craig Berube, no different than Lane Lambert, he's got an experienced guy on the bench that he can lean on in-game, in building game prep and all of those things. And if you're Derek Lalonde, you've just watched Lane Lambert, who came in as an assistant and associate coach last year, get a head job in the National Hockey League. So the money is going to be good as far as associate assistant coaches go. The Toronto Maple Leafs are noted for being, a well-paying organization. Why wouldn't he roll the dice in this situation? It makes a lot of sense for him, but I think it's an excellent ad for the Maple Leafs.
With Darren Dreger. So speaking of the Leafs, we're it's June 6th today. Do the math. What are we, 25? 3
weeks?
Yeah, a few weeks away from free agency.
Yeah.
Mitch Marner, Sam Bennett, Brad Marchand. Those 3 names. What are the likelihood of any of them being Maple Leafs as of July 1st?
I'd say unlikely with all 3. But, none of that is a slam dunk. That's just a gut feeling. You do have to go through the process, and that's exactly what the Maple Leafs will do, and that's what those 3 individual players will do. I say this publicly. I have nothing but admiration for the way that Bill Zito does his job in Florida, and I get it. There are creature comforts that many organizations just can't match, including, the taxation system in the state of Florida. I get all of that, but he's made some real interesting and devious transactions to make the Florida Panthers better, right? But he's got 2 primary unrestricted free agents to contend with. One, of course, Sam Bennett. The other is Aaron Ekblad. And I remember wondering when they acquired Seth Jones from Chicago whether or not that might come at the expense of Ekblad at the end of the year. So, sure, there's going to be a circle back by Zito and the Florida Panthers with Sam Bennett. And, as we saw in Game 1, on many nights, Sam Bennett is the guy. And going into Game 2, there needs to be more players like Sam Bennett, or Florida's going to be in trouble here quickly. And I believe they will have that in Game 2. But if Zito puts a 7 or an 8-year deal in front of Bennett, at some point before July 1st, and it's fair, like it's in and around that $8 million plus mark, and it maybe comes at the expense of Aaron Ekblad, can't pay everybody, don't you take it if you're Sam Bennett and you stay where you want to be? So that still makes a lot of sense to me. And this is no disrespect to the Toronto Maple Leafs and all that, but I'm led to believe that Bennett just doesn't have an interest in signing in Toronto. He doesn't. And it might be because of lifestyle above all else. And he knows that he's going to have outside opportunity. Marchand's a little bit different. Maybe he's the best of the 3 options in terms of not being afraid of the environment, given what he went through in Boston and all of that. And I think that there will be conversation with the Marner camp, but that'll be part of just everything that goes into July 1st, once Marner has everything in front of him.
Dregs, if you could come up with like a description or a tone heading into this free agent frenzy, like how would you describe it? Is it kind of mild? Is it... I mean, I don't think people are too jacked up about the class of players that are involved. Like, what are we getting into here?
Yeah, I think mild is fair. Everybody can see how the players we've already talked about here could help them, right? But the reality is that the guys here, the top-end guys, they're going to have their wish list. And look, the NHL Combine just wrapped up in Buffalo this week. And I jokingly, and the league gets offended when I say this, but I jokingly refer to the NHL Combine as Tamper Fest because, you know, all the player agents are there. The general managers are there. And sure, they're there to look at the top prospects, but who's kidding who? You have the conversations that ultimately might lead to decisions that are made on July 1st. So if you're a team that has a strong appetite, we know Toronto is among those teams, to embrace change. Well, how are you going to do that? If you're really not a player, and maybe they will be, maybe they won't be, on Sam Bennett or Brad Marchand, and Marner just decides that he wants to cut bait and go somewhere else. Okay, well, what are you left with now? You know, there's still decent free agent pieces that Toronto, I'm sure, are going to take a run at. But if it's not that, what is it? Then it has to be trade. Well, what are you using for trade collateral? You know, you've got Easton Cowan, who's, you know, coming off the Memorial Cup championship. But the cupboard is getting pretty thin with some of these young prospects that you're hoping that are going to develop into good NHL players. You can't continue to dole out first-round draft picks. So you've got to look at the roster that you have and start identifying your trade chips. And that's where, for me, it gets interesting in Toronto.
Darren, we had your friend James Duthie in here earlier. Just out of curiosity, I know how the hot zone prep works. You're in there, you're watching games.
Yep.
Yeah.
Has he tried to tear any of us down to you?
I can confirm that he is still very skeptical of the 64.
Wow.
And in fact, it's gone out of his way to prove that it didn't happen. And he's had conversations with guys that he trusts, good golfers apparently. He didn't mention any names, but just to prepare himself for. Is he already been on the air with you guys?
Oh, yeah. He laid it all on the line.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot. He did more prep work for that availability with you guys today than he did with anything that he's done on air for TSN to this point at the Canadian Open.
Yeah. You're right about that. He was like prepped and ready. He had his hair.
Charts and graphs.
Yeah, he had props.
Like he put a lot of time and effort to taking you down.
Yeah.
Like that is a lifetime goal, clearly, of James Duthie.
The whole thing seems a little personal.
It is disappointing. It really is disappointing.
Yeah.
So we got Game 2 of the Cup Final tonight. You couldn't ask for a better Game 1. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm curious, and there's ebbs and flows of everything. But now you set a tone. You're like, you got to have a great game again tonight. I don't want to see a blowout one way or the other.
I woke up this morning, Dregs. I don't know how you feel as well. I was like, this could be like a 2-1 snooze fest, 9 chances on each side, and I don't know, maybe. I don't know. These teams are just too powerful as far as offense, and, you know, a 4-3 game kind of sound right, but
who do you look to at Florida, though? Is it Bob where your head goes first? Like, is it Bob who's got to set the tone? Or
but Bob set that they had 46 shots and 24 chances.
I understand that.
He was great the other night. I look at their, like Kachuk, Verhaeghe. I look at guys in that you know, Reinhart, Barkov, like, you know, just
they're big boys up front.
They're big boys up front. Yeah.
Dregs, go ahead.
Nah, I'm with you. It is the big boys up front for me as well. So after the Leafs announced that they'd hired Derek Lalonde, they had a quick back and forth with Craig Berube, and we got talking eventually about Game 2 tonight, and his sense was Florida is going to do something to make it uncomfortable for Stu Skinner. All right, what does that look like? Does that look like Sam Bennett on Anthony Stolarz? What are we talking about here? And I mean, obviously it's not that, but you know, it does have a feel like there is going to be more chaos in front of that Edmonton net, provided that they can execute it that way. It can't be Sam Bennett leading the offense, you know, in this 7-game series. I mean, he's capable of that. Of course he is. But you can clearly see Matthew Tkachuk is not healthy, right? He hasn't been healthy this entire postseason, but he's still capable of doing a little bit more. You know, we bow at the feet of Sasha Barkov, and who doesn't respect the game that he plays because it's so well-rounded? But it feels like he needs a big night too, and you know, he's certainly capable of taking over the series. So anyway, I think that we'll see a lot more jam from the Florida Panthers up front in Game 2.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that the viewpoint is, you know, getting to Skinner, which is natural. Now, I would counter that if I'm Edmonton, saying I plan on doing the same thing with Bobrovsky.
Well,
why would you make his life comfortable
And they were
tonight?
trying the other night. Like, that Corey Perry's not going anywhere. Vander Kane's not going anywhere.
No, they smell blood, man.
Yeah.
You're up 1-0. You're that close to a cup. Like, you're going to do whatever you have to tonight.
Yeah.
All right, Dregs. Well, we'll catch you on the hot zone after the game tonight.
Hey, I don't know who saw it. Billy Dotson, the famous producer at TSN, just showed me a picture of, you guys have a big screen right there, and apparently my mug, there's like a mug shot of me just teeing up OverDrive.
Well, it's a fake screen, obviously, Dregs.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I guess they're still playing, so you wouldn't have that going on.
No, but it's a good shot, man. They sent a good picture of you.
Well, not the one. There it is, Dregs. If you get a chance, but I mean, that's
a good pick.
The one of
Better
Ray.
than Ray's
was
pick.
tough, Dregs. Ray's was tough.
Ray's was a funeral shot.
Yeah.
That was what it was.
Like it should have been on a grubby casket with a 3-wood and his favorite pack of cigarettes.
We were paying respects to Ray. Paying our respects when he joined us, and we had to leave him high and dry too. We got kicked off the air when he was on. A couple days ago.
He's living his best life. He and his family are in Vegas for Coldplay tomorrow. So
there you go. Ray doesn't mess around. Guarantee you, his club's made it.
Hey,
way
by
down
the way,
there.
as you guys wrap up in the final hour here, can you keep it down a little bit? I'm hearing that players are complaining.
We've heard that too, but it's not our concern. We just got to keep motoring here. We got a job to do just like them. We're not trying to make a cut. We're trying to get some ratings here. All right,
hey, those guys are trying to shoot 64.
Well, that's not easy to do, evidently.
It's not.
Rory McIlroy shot 78 today, 14 strokes more than you.
Wow. He got absolutely cursed by Keith Pelley handing him that Leaf sweater the other day.
Don't say that, but I think you're honest. You know that's material for every other fan base in the country. Is like, look what happened to McIlroy.
I never even thought about that.
There he is with the Leaf jersey.
That's crazy.
And what does he do in Game 7?
Just
blows a 78.
Sharded.
That's who had a worse Game 5. We'll get into this without you, Dregs. We'll let you go. We'll pick it up from here. Thanks, Dregs.
Yeah, boys. Have a good one.
Darren Dreger, TSN Hockey Insider. Round 1, round 2 for McIlroy. Game 5, Game 7 for the Leafs. Worst performance.
Game 5, Game 7 for the Leafs, although it's pretty close.
They're all similar. That guy's shooting 78 out there.
Outrageous.
That's worse than losing 6-1 for him.
Yeah, for him.
He shoots 71 in his sleep.
The worst he could possibly shoot out here was 70.
Yes.
And he had 71 yesterday
so
and
that's
78
So
today.
he lost 6-1 today.
Oh, I think this is
10-1,
worse.
man.
I think round 1 wasn't as bad as Game 5. I think his first round he lost 4-1. Didn't have a lot of life, but but I think his performance today is worse than the Leafs Game 7 performance.
Dude, he just had a piss on it kind of vibe.
He got beat by David Ayres.
That's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
David Ayres was waiting for him at TPC Toronto.
Driving him back
Did
home.
Bob Weeks caught up with him?
We have the clip. We have the clip. We can play
Why
it.
don't we play this?
Yeah.
I want to hear from Rory. So this is Rory McIlroy and his one-on-one with Bob Weeks earlier today.
All right, Rory, a tough day out there. Can you sum it up for us?
Yeah, it's golf. It's one of those weeks. I obviously had the flyer on 5. So obviously making the big number there, that sort of put me behind the 8-ball for the rest of the day. And yeah, I just wasn't on it. Just funny, I had a really good warm-up. Felt like I was going to shoot a good score out there today, and then it just wasn't meant to be. So, I'll get home, do a little bit of practice over the weekend, and, hopefully head to Oakmont with a, bit of a better idea of where my game is.
What's the frustration level after a round like that?
Yeah, there's frustration, but then, I think as well, like it's been an informative 2 days in some way, just to see where I'm at, where my misses are, what I need to work on. I've shot 2 very, very bad scores on not, that much of a penal golf course, and then you're going to a very penal one next week, so I just need to tidy a lot of things up all the way through the bag. So, as I said, a bit of work over the weekend, and hopefully head to Oakmont with a bit of a better idea with where the game is.
So there he is. You know, he's chalking it up to, hey, it's golf, and it gets away from you. But
oh, man.
78 is 78. And like he mentioned, caught a flyer and lost his ball, and it was a disaster, man. That guy shoots 78. And like he said, this course will get you. It's a tough course, but Oakmont is waiting for you. U.S. Open conditions. If he plays around at Oakmont like he played today, he will legitimately shoot 90. Like, he might actually shoot 90.
Be trunk slam.
That's not a joke.
That's
Rory
not...
McIlroy, if he blows it around out there like he did today, that's 90.
He might shoot
There's
90.
zero chance he'll shoot a 90. You know that. Did somebody shoot a 90 the other day, or what was it?
Nick Dunlop shot 90 first round at Augusta.
Yes.
And then the next day he came out and shot like 3 under. Yeah. But he shot a 90 at Augusta National. So, I mean, I'm being a little bit, facetious and elaborating a little bit. He's not going to shoot 90, but he'd shoot 83, 84, like 100% if he plays like he did today.
That's tough.
All right, we've got Mail It In Friday, of course, brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar this playoff season. Boston Pizza is planning the parade and has a new all-star playoff menu for you to enjoy. For pizza, pints, and puck drops, visit your local Boston Pizza today. Dear Hazy B coming up. Best bets later in the hour. We're live at the Rink Hole, TPC Toronto. RBC Canadian Open Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Welcome to the show.
Buckle up. It's about to get loud here.
The one with unimaginable power.
Wow.
Amazing stuff.
How good is this guy?
And endless entertainment.
Unbelievable.
Where young trailblazers bring big speed, big swag, and big personalities. Welcome to MLB's best.
You can't help but be awed by it all.
Sunday Night Baseball, all season long on TSN.
Welcome to Formula One in 2025.
F1 lives on TSN.
Lights out, away we go!
With every race, all season long.
That championship challenge is ignited!
And with TSN Plus, go that extra mile with onboard cameras, pit lane check, and more.
Extraordinary! This is the journey to crown the greatest driver on Earth.
Formula One lives on TSN and TSN Plus. Subscribe now.
Call detection. Bell. Peace of mind just got.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
I do the same thing I told you that I never would. I told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay. I do the same thing I told you that I never would. I told you I changed, even when I knew I never could.
All right, coverage of the Canadian Open on Overdrive brought to you by Subaru. And everyone's kind of come through the rink hole here. Like, it clears out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But there's a great concert tonight. Billy Talent's playing here
Johnny
tonight.
G just popped by. He's awesome.
Awesome guy.
Great guy.
And they've done an unbelievable job here. Like the Canadian Open, over the last number of years, it's always been a great, prestigious event, clearly.
Yeah.
But they've made it a party. Like the rink hole is a great example of that. They have concerts. Billy Talent tonight. You got Sam Roberts tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people here. You come out, you just have a great time. It's a long event. It's not like going to a hockey or a basketball game where it's 2.5 hours in and out.
Put a full day in.
Show up here at 10 in the morning, 8 in the morning if you want. Stay here until midnight almost.
Yeah.
And it's a full event, and it's going to be a great weekend. And as for the leaderboard, like Cameron Champ, he's 12 under. Andrew Putnam, 10 under. Then you got Richard T. Lee, a Canadian, at 9 under. Nick Taylor's in the clubhouse at 9 under. So Taylor's at 9 under. Shane Lowry at 8. Jake Knapp at 8. Sam Burns at 8. Those are three big names.
I love Nicky Taylor at 9.
Me too.
It's a good number.
And Taylor Pendrith at 7. So he's in the hunt right now. And then you got Matthew Anderson, a Canadian. He can crush the ball. He's at 5 under. Adam Hadwin at 5 under. And Ludwig Goldberg's into the weekend at 4 under. So there's a lot of Canadian content, and there's going to be a lot of big names playing into the weekend. Corey Connors playing into the weekend, clearly, and Shane Lowry, like I said. So there's a lot to look forward to, and I think there's a real chance a Canadian is going to be in the final group on Sunday and competing for this thing. Coverage of the Canadian Open on Overdrive brought to you by Subaru. Head to your local Subaru dealer for lease rates from 1.99% for 24 months on select models. See dealer for details. We'll get to our best bets a little bit later in the hour, but it is a Friday afternoon.
Yep.
And I actually have my own submission here. I'm going to turn the tables on you two.
Really? Okay.
And throw something your way. You ready for Dear Hazy B?
Yes. Yep. People send in a tweet. They write us for our professional advice on life things. Dear Hazy B, every morning my boiler has a gas leak. My wife thinks it's the baby.
Dear Hazy B.
If you want to come to Hazy B, I need honesty from you.
Hazy, you got dumped a lot. Tell me. Tell him.
Grown adults with birthdays, it's asinine.
All right, Dear Hazy B, brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. This playoff season, Boston Pizza is planning the parade and has a new all-star playoff menu for you to enjoy. For pizza, pints, and puck drops, visit your local Boston Pizza today. So I am going to be out here tomorrow with my wife, my lovely wife, and we're coming out. We went to Hamilton last year, had a blast.
Bringing the kids?
No, just the two of us. So just the two of us.
Yep.
I have a group of friends who will be here looking to
hammer beers.
Floor it. How do I play this? Because we've got suite access, which we're very lucky to have.
Yeah.
She's going to want to get here, walk around, but we got big plans. The kids tomorrow night. We've got my niece's first birthday party on Sunday, which is a massive, massive moment for, the family, my sister-in-law, brother-in-law.
Just came to me.
What do I do here?
You get on your phone right now, and you send a text to Aaron's sister and invite her to the Canadian Open. They're best friends, and you say, There's a merch tent. There's different things to look at, the hospitality suite. So you can disappear for multiple hours, but the thing is, you cannot get mangled.
Well, he comes back like Bernie Lomax. They're going to wheel him in. It'd be
That's the problem.
Hannibal Lecter. There's no chance.
That's my concern.
But it is your birthday. You know
it is
what
today.
I mean?
Now,
like
you know the way this works, especially at 42. At 12:01 a.m. on June 7th, it doesn't matter anymore.
It's long. It's gone.
No, there's no waking up saying, well, it's my birthday week.
It actually somehow morphs into a little bit of hatred the next day.
Yeah, exactly. It was, okay, you know, you had your birthday, good for you. I haven't done anything.
Yeah, go clean out the garage.
Exactly. Tomorrow, it'll be, you know, it'll be a different vibe. It's not that, you know, the love will change. It'll still be there for me, but it's no longer birthday passes.
I know,
and
but
here's
it's
the
birthday
thing.
weekend.
I agree. I'm pushing for the weekend. I think worlds can collide here, and I think everyone's going to have a good time. It's just, you know, on Sunday it's a big one. You know what it's like, the 1-year-old birthday party, right? My niece is turning 1. It's big. So we're excited for that. Very, very excited for that. Audrey's turning 1. So shout out to her. And that's another thing. Like, I have a birthday where my wife and my daughter are in May. My niece is right around here. My nephew, Charlie, his birthday's coming up in a few days. Like, my birthday is basically a nuisance for people.
It's in people's way.
It's a complete speed bump.
That's why you should go get gooned tomorrow.
You're right. So I'm going to put my stake in the ground and say, it's my birthday, and I'm going to floor it here.
Exactly. But the problem is your buddies will drag you down. You'll be in big trouble. You get trouble from Aaron, and just not
grown adults with birthdays. It's asinine.
That is a very good point.
It
Noodles.
is.
You got to stay consistent with your commentary.
But my point is you're not asking, like, you don't put a list together. This is what I want for my birthday.
It's not a birthday thing for me tomorrow. It's just that we're here. I'm going to have a blast at the Canadian Open. I'm coming out here. I can't wait to be here. Not working, which is big. Now, again, not to sound – this is going to sound like a clown comment, bro. Like, I'm not trying to, you know.
Yeah.
But people know us around here.
Right.
There is an element to that. You can't be like – because there are people out here literally asleep in the grass back there. Like right now.
But that would be
and if I am one of those guys.
You could be just passed out in the grass and be like, is that Brian Hayes?
He's asleep behind 14.
Can you imagine how screwed you would be if you just got left behind and you woke up in those weeds at 11 p.m. tonight?
And Billy Talent's
that would be a wild scene.
Yeah, you're right, man. Those are because those are stories we've heard before. We all know them.
Yeah.
Yes.
The guy who was like disappeared, made friends somewhere, and it's like, buddy, we tried you, and we had to go. We're out of here.
I know this is, I mean, take it for what it's worth, but I read a story one time about how a guy was helping out with a search party, and he was the guy that they were looking for.
No way.
There was a search party for a person who had gone missing. He was so buckled,
he's like,
I'll help, and he was the guy they were looking 2 days later. Can you imagine? Like,
wow,
that buckled, and then they're like, you know, a vigil and everything. He shows up, he's like, I'm going to help out. And they discover as they're going through the woods and that, is like, we're looking for this guy.
You're the guy
You've
we're
been
looking
missing
for
2 days. Where the hell you been? He's been on some bender.
Just
and then came back, and they...
That is one of the all-time great
stories. Could you imagine?
Could you imagine trying to explain that to your wife?
There's a search. There's a search
honey,
party for you.
Good story. I found myself.
The search party is for him, and he's in there going, "Hey, where are we looking for this guy?" And they're like, "You're the guy."
That one's tough to explain.
Yeah.
That one's tough to explain because that's taxpayer money too. Like that's like when you start getting into a crazy area where it's like
volunteers, search parties.
Oh yeah, you got dogs running in woods and stuff.
But I guarantee you, there's crazy golf stories. Like there's got to be somebody that's been buckled at Augusta National and ended up sleeping in the Butler cabin somehow. Well, there's stories out there like that.
100%. And at Augusta in particular, you can't have your phone. So you've been there. You know what it's like. Like what you do is, if you're splitting up, you say, all right, the big tree will come back at I'll meet you there at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Guys come back. They'll sit there for half an hour, and they're like, guy's not here. I guess we're going.
Yeah, we gotta go.
What are we supposed to do? And if it's an adult, you're like, well, the guy will figure it out. You know, maybe he's talking to someone, maybe the guy. And you're right. It's, you know, he's falling asleep in the azaleas somewhere. He wakes up
2 days later.
2 days later, and it's, you know, Championship Sunday.
Crazy.
Yeah. You're right. those kind of stories. That won't be happening tomorrow. I will not allow that I will not allow that to happen. But we're looking forward to the weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend here at the RBC Canadian Open. It's always fun for us to come out.
So does your wife actually enjoy watching the golf, or does she?
Yeah, no, she likes the event. Like it's a buzz here. Like it's she'll come in and she's a big McIlroy fan. Like loves Rory, so she'll be disappointed Rory didn't make the cut. But we're going to be right in the mix. We'll be walking around. We're going to come up here to 14, hang out for a while. We'll be hanging out 18. She'll be tracking it. It's fun to just come out here and just cruise around and watch these guys play, man. It's an incredible vibe. Like they really do a great job with the atmosphere.
I don't know what it is, and I don't know why this happens, but the drone coverage of golf that's built up in the last 2 to 3 years.
Do you like it or not?
I love it. It makes the courses look so amazing.
Yeah.
Like this course looks so amazing on it. It is amazing, but the drone footage, I think it looks so cool, man.
Well, and you see they implemented into the telecast this week the fairway trackers. So when someone hits a golf ball,
it goes green or red or
yes.
Really?
So like when it's in the air, because you can't really tell when a guy hits a ball. You're like, did he flare that left or right? Is it? And it tracks. So as you're watching, you're like, all right, this is going to find the fairway, or it's going to be in the rough. It could be in the water, based on the coloring, which is a pretty cool experience.
How couldn't they find? How's Rory's ball go missing then?
That's a great point.
That's crazy that AI couldn't find his ball. That's how bad he shot that.
That happened. I didn't tell you guys. That happened to me on 18 at the Pro-Am, where I hit my ball way left into the trees.
Yeah, hard left.
And of course, I get up there, and the marshal's a huge fan of the show.
Oh, yeah?
So he sees me coming, and I'm walking under the ropes, and he's like, come with me, follow me, like almost into the woods.
Yeah.
And I get back there, and we're talking. And he's like, big fan. And there's
and
other
you're like, I
people
don't care about the show. Where's my ball?
Well, not necessarily, but I'm like, thank you. But do you know where it is?
Yeah.
And it's it's way deep in. And I had a small window to try to get it back onto the fairway. And I said, I'm going hero. What's the who cares?
Yeah, might as well just.
If I lose out, it doesn't matter. There's other guys. And I hit a ball, and it hit the tree and went somewhere.
Oh no!
And these guys are like, I have no idea where you just hit that ball. So now I'm trying to find the ball. Like I'm just.
Yeah, digging a hole
And continue with the stop and chats. Awesome guy. But I'm like, man, I've been in these woods for 15 minutes. The rest of the group's like, what is that guy doing in there?
Yeah, you got to move on.
It's embarrassing. So I just said, forget it, dude. I'm out. Don't worry about it. Thanks for everything. If you find the ball, keep the ball. It says my name on it, which is pretty embarrassing.
It happens.
Anyway, what are you going to do? There you go. Dear Hazy B, I think we established the plan for tomorrow. I think we've got the plan for tomorrow.
Yeah, go and enjoy yourself.
Absolutely. All right, Jays in Minnesota tonight. Game 2 of the Cup Final tonight in Edmonton. We'll come back and tee those up and take one more look ahead to the weekend in terms of the RBC Canadian Open. A couple of Canadian flags there in the top 5, including Nick Taylor. He's only 3 shots off the lead. T3 at 9 under going into the weekend. He will be flooring it and ready to compete. Cannot wait to see what Nick brings to the table. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Panthers on the puck line, plus 1.5. I think they at least keep it close tonight, if not win. I would not be surprised at all if they won, but I think if they lose, it's an overtime or a close game. Sam Reinhart, 1 point. Anton Lundell, 1 point. I'm looking at the big boys, and Lundell is one of them. Like, he's the best third-line center in the league. Guy's a player. That third line, I think, connects again tonight. That parlay paying plus 240. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel from puck drop to the final horn. Every Stanley Cup playoff game is available on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly, 18 plus, physically located in Ontario.
Stu Skinner, massive night for him. He can make a statement. If it was the other way around and Florida took game one, I think Bob would say, I'm really going to put the screws to you now, and you got a serious problem on your hands. And Stu Skinner can do the same thing.
Oh, he's got an opportunity. Like every 7-1 in his last 8 starts.
Incredible.
He's got an opportunity here to continue that on. And you're right. Like if you're looking at it last game, I thought they were going to get bobbed. Like Bob was locked in. He gave up a goal a minute in, and then after that, Edmonton outshot them, whatever it was, 15-6, and then Florida took it to him. Like I thought Bob made some great saves. And then in overtime, Kapanen's in alone, Bouchard's in alone. I almost felt like Edmonton was going to carry the play and Florida was going to get one chance and score.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I kept thinking that.
Would not have been surprising.
Right?
Yep. And yeah, I think it's on Florida to dictate the pace tonight, but for 60 minutes. Like, you're not going to get it consistently throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
But I thought they started pretty well, even with Draisaitl scoring. They get on the board. They had a 3-1 lead. And they had a lead after 40 minutes. That's generally a lock.
Well, they had 30 in a row.
Yeah, that's right.
That.
That's right.
So,
and that came to an end a couple nights ago. So I agree, Skinner. Interesting what Dreger said about chatting with Craig Berube, and they're going to try to rattle his cage tonight. We'll see if that's even possible. I mean, he seems like a pretty even-keeled guy.
Thing is rattling his cage is getting to the net and creating some traffic.
Yeah.
L.A. did
I think there's going to be some goofy things around the net tonight
on
both ends.
Thing is
I would counter if I'm Edmonton.
I was just going to say, as much as Florida can do that, Edmonton has some guys that can do that.
Corey Perry, Vander Kane. Hello, front of the net.
That Corey Perry, man. He had a bad, I didn't think his game. He took 2 bad penalties. The stick one over there, and then the tripping on the power play that made it 4-on-4.
I honestly think, because he's not the fastest guy in the league, I think he could play till he's 45 years old and be an effective player.
Well, he's got great hands around the net.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not gonna lose any money. He can't be any slower.
Skating's never been his forte at any point in his career.
There was a play the other night.
45 years old. I think he could do it for 5 more years.
He's 40 now, and
there was a play the other night where he was the high forward. I don't know if you guys remember this. It was in the second period.
McDavid was in the corner and blew by him?
They were in the corner. His line mates, I think it was McDavid, and I can't remember who he was playing because there was a little bit of a blender. But he was the high guy, and he was chasing the puck back, through the middle. I was like, oh, my God. He would have been the last guy into the zone by then.
How much of a head start, if he was going to do a lap and McDavid was going to catch him, how much of a head start would he need on McJesus?
On the other side of the net, for sure.
Far blue line on the other, on the other side.
Like, if they're both starting at center ice, he gets the quarter ice and around the net, so he doesn't have to do the crossovers. He starts on the goal line on the other side of the net, and he's got to do 300 meters. I think he could still. I think he'd beat him. He's still in the national hockey.
I understand that.
But I hear what you're saying, though. No, you see him try to rev the engine up to try to get.
He can the thing is he's so smart. And he's wiry, but he's strong on the puck.
Yeah.
And he knows what to do around the net. Let's not forget, that was him that put it on McDavid's stick in overtime.
You know what that reminded me of?
Beautiful little touch play.
Ginla and Crosby in 2010.
Yeah, he wanted it off the boards, right?
Same thing, kind of backhand, almost blind, Sid shot, obviously, McDavid passed, but it's very similar.
Yeah.
Exactly. I can't wait to see what they have in store after game 1. It's the same thing with the NBA Finals tomorrow night, game 2, I believe tomorrow night, if not Sunday.
Well,
because you see Oklahoma City immediately after the game, FanDuel's got them 11.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
Edmonton's a favorite tonight. Slight. It's not big, but they're a slight favorite on FanDuel.
There was no rust on Edmonton or Florida's game, even with that layoff.
Yeah.
They hit the ground running. We'll see how they follow it up with tonight. I don't know if either team have the ability to play careful. Like, I don't think they play careful. Like, it's as safe as death. Like, I think they both play and just let the chips fall and say,
they
hey,
want to let it rip. It's just the way it should be. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Go for every green, man.
Yeah.
Go do your thing. So we're here at the RBC Canadian Open. We've been here the last few days. It looks as if the cut line is going to be at 3 under.
God, that sucks. I wanted my guy, your guy, to get in so bad.
I know.
Like, there's so many guys right there. Like Ashton McCullough, another amateur Canadian kid. He's at 2 under. He shot 3 under today, too, to kind of really put up a score. Matt Scobie, our guy, we saw him at 4 o'clock. 2 under. He's in the clubhouse. That's still, you got to be so proud of yourself.
Absolutely.
If you played that well through 2 rounds in your first PGA Tour event. Little Charlie Hoffman's out there at 3 under. He's straddling the line, but he's going to get in for the weekend.
It would still be nightmare fuel, though, going to bed tonight, thinking about a little shot here and a shot there. Like,
well, that's the thing.
You know
like Matty, he bogeyed 3 of the last 4 or 5 holes
today.
Yeah, coming in. Like, he just.
So that's what he'll think about, right?
Yeah, I mean, and like he bogeyed 18. We asked him that. Like, he went for the green. He said he had the 4-iron and he loved it and he felt good. And he's like, I'm going for it, which I appreciate. We just talked about the 2 teams. They're like, we're going for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Tin Cup, man. I got to look at it. I'm going for it. And it got in the water, and then he ends up carding a 6, loses a stroke, drops down to 2, where if he pars that, he's 100% into the weekend. But anyway, I mean, listen, he should be proud of himself. Everyone should be proud of themselves here that come out and compete and play.
Agreed.
And at the end of the day, everyone basically beat Rory McIlroy. So, you know,
that's true.
Take that into consideration, that McIlroy finished 149th on his own, 9 over par for the tournament.
Is that one of his worst? That's probably one of his worst showings. In the last couple of years.
Without a question.
Without question. That would be a bottom 10 like career showing, I would think. Like 149th. In a field like this. So we'll see what comes of it this weekend on TSN up here at TPC Toronto at Osprey Valley. Thanks to everyone up here at the course for the hospitality. Golf Canada, RBC Canadian Open, we appreciate it. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. As always, we appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy your weekends. We're back Monday at...
Have a great weekend, boys. 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.